some really nice areas. There's a little bit of variation, but there's been a lot of really challenging granite terrain, so that's been really fun.
All I've got to say, especially the live things with the arena and the big screens and the tracking and everything, I think it's been great. It just adds an extra dimension to the event.
Very fun. It was very hot when I was running, but yeah, I think they did a really good job with the course setting. I think the courses are really good. All the maps have been super technically challenging, but yeah, just the environment that they've put up, that's also quite good. Yeah.
The media this year's been amazing.
Yeah, with all the tracking, that's so so good to
the
watch.
big screens and everything.
Yeah.
It's cool,
Lots of hype and
yeah, it's cool meeting like heaps of Aussie people and stuff like that, and making new friends and seeing like old friends. So that's really nice. Like everyone's real friendly, which is good.
So how was your course today? Oh look, it was pretty good in the buildings. Up on the hill though, I lost a bit of time. Just not as confident on that stuff. The long leg up there, Brian basically ran me down for a minute back. So yeah, it was okay, but not the best. Orienteering, I just really love it, and it's a great sport, and it's a great family sport as well. All my kids do it as well. Thanks guys.
all the live stuff is really good, and the commentating, having the big screen and everything is really nice. And it feels, there's cameras and stuff out in the forest, so that kind of makes it feel a bit more like the World Champs, and makes it feel a bit more professional than some other events. Yeah, so it's been really good.
Go, yeah.
This one? Good morning, everyone. Yeah, that went wide, didn't it? Morning, all. Anyone that's in any of the juniors that are in the junior squad for this year, either the Australian Junior Development Squad or the Targeted Talent Squad, if you can meet me over at the big screen in the next 3 minutes, that would be great. We're just going to do a little bit of a wrap up. While I'm on the mic, though, I'm also just wanted to put out a quick ad. I think you guys would have seen the Sprint the Bay ads yesterday, and Kyle was talking about the Lonely Mountain Sprints in New Zealand on the weekend before. You may or may not have seen, we've put a flyer up on the Orienteering Australia website for a training squad, training camp, competition and training camp in New Zealand, incorporating those two events next year. So check it out on the OA website. It's also up on Eventor. If you want to have a chat to me or Jim Russell about it and get any more details, feel free to come up and have a chat today or flick us a message later in after Oceania. Okay, thanks, guys.
Yeah, I saw that. Take away from me whenever.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. We're going to do the J-Knoll and the Knoll presentations. We normally do this after the final race. Today is the final race. But because we know that 3 divisions have already been decided and because it's going to be very busy this afternoon, we're going to do the presentations for the Knoll and J-Knoll in the next couple of minutes. So can the people who are representing their state in their Knoll team or their J-Knoll team please make their way up here to the presentation area.
Hi Jim.
How are you going?
Good, I'm just checking the old...
Let's yes, thank you.
That's the Delete Test match.
Yes.
ANZ Challenge.
Morning, everyone. Can we have the J-Knoll people up here, please? People I'm particularly looking for is Tara Melhush and her team of runners. I also want Patrick Miller and his team. We'll start with them, the junior Knoll people. And any photographers as well. So what I'm going to do is I'll start off with the individuals and I'll start off with the juniors first. And currently sitting in an unbeatable position in the Junior National Orienteering League is Tara Melhush on 231 points, and she cannot be beaten whatever she does. She can fall in a hole, she can do what she likes. She does not even have to run today. So well done to Tara. It's only her presentations. I'll thank my sponsors. Just stand there, wait. Yep. And the men's Junior National O-League, also in an unbeatable position, is from the same team, Patrick Miller, representing the Cockies. Did someone wake Paddy Miller up this morning? So well done to Pat Miller and Tara Melhush. And I want to thank my sponsors, our sponsors, Wildfire Sports. And you too will be receiving, like we do all things nowadays, it's all electronic, you'll get your gift voucher in the mail, which will be $100 to spend at Wildfire Sports. Okay, I'll just ask Paddy to step aside for a second and out of the picture. Tara can stay here because Tara's team also won the team's competition. So all the girls from the Canberra Cockatoos, can you please come up and join Tara? Just to free you. Now, I believe that I don't have a trophy to give you because you did not return the trophy. So just go back to the ACT office, find the trophy in the trophy cabinet. That's your trophy. Okay, and we'll ask Paddy Miller to come back and all the junior boys from the Cockies who also took out the Junior National O-League Teams trophy. So there'll be Paddy, there'll be his brother, there must be others. All the junior boys from the Cockatoos, please, here's Noah coming up now. Come on, Noah, bit of a hurry, well done. And because the Victorian junior boys won it last year, they were good enough to return it to me, so I'm here to give it to Paddy. Well done, Paddy. Okay. Don't rip it. There it is. Suck in, Noah. That's yours. Keep. I get it to the office. Make sure I go and keep it in the office. ATP office. Rightio, thank you to the juniors. Now we're going to get on to the seniors. We're going to do the senior men because the senior women is still undecided. It depends on whether Bridget can finish 3 points or more in front of Tash today. So we're going to wait on that result. Also, in the teams events in the women, it's undecided. In theory, ACT can catch Victoria, but Victoria are in front, and basically Victoria to lose can't score, and we can't imagine that happening. So we'll do the women's events after the race. But in the men's race, in the individual, the winner, the evergreen Simon Uphill. Okay, I'll continue with that. So Simon Uphill can't... Yeah, no, because he hasn't won. Leave it with me. Okay, Simon has won. Matt Doyle could join him if Matt Doyle wins today, and Simon comes worse than fourth. So we know that Simon has won. That's why we're presenting it to Simon now. He is the winner. We may present something to Matthew later.
I have something to give myself.
Yes, he brought it back. And thank you, Simon. Well done. So likewise, Simon, you'll be receiving a $100 gift voucher electronically. Thank you. And in the men's teams competition, once again, it was the men from the Canberra Cockatoos. So the boys from the Canberra Cockatoos, please come forward. Marty's here. Come on, Marty. You can... It looks like you're the only one, Marty. Where's Matthew? Craney, where are you? Come on, Craney, get a jog along. It's about the fastest I've seen Craney run for a while. No, it's not. Come on, Craney. Here we come. And once again, you didn't return. I think Matt Doyle started. Yes. So once again, the Canberra Cockatoos did not return the trophy, so therefore I can't present the trophy. So Marty Dent, Matthew Crane, representing the Canberra Cockatoos. Okay, thank you everybody. That's about it for this presentation. We'll do a minor presentation of the women's classes after the race. Thank you everybody.
Yeah, look, orienteering isn't a very spectator-friendly sport. Yeah. Also, sorry about the wind. It's really annoying.
As well as the NOL today, we've got a few other competitions currently running. We've got, of course, the ANZ Challenge. If Kim Nankervis is around, would she be able to give me an update on the points for the ANZ Challenge? Possibly. Jim Russell is going to give me an update on the Bushrangers versus Pine Stars challenge, and I've been informed that this challenge is a 2-test match series. It's held in New Zealand and also in Australia to hopefully avoid the hometown or home country advantage. But New Zealand obviously, well, as is traditional, they beat us very convincingly in New Zealand earlier in the year. So we have to beat them obviously by a bigger margin here over this week. So the scores at the moment.
That's the bottom one is what they beat us in New Zealand.
Yep.
And if I just go down a little bit, that's where it is at the moment. New Zealand on 358, we're on 346.
So I can give you the point score as it stands at the moment. We've got obviously today to go. The June Test match, which was held on the New Zealand QB3 weekend, New Zealand got 235 points, Australia 165. Currently, at the moment, on this week, Australia got 181 points to New Zealand's 123. So the sum result of that is that New Zealand are still in front by 12 points. That makes it very, very close. So today's results for the Bushrangers and the Pine Stars will determine who wins that trophy this year. So having all the competitors in that classes finishing today will be very important because it's the team that gets the points. Unfortunately, a couple of people yesterday, it was a little bit too much, a bit too far, a bit too hot maybe. Today obviously is a physical challenge because you've been competing for 7 events. This is the 8 out of, well, most people anyway, some people. This is the 8th event over the 9 days, so that's quite a physical challenge. But I have been out on the map and I can tell you that it's a fantastic area for middle distance orienteering. You will thoroughly enjoy it. Maybe not so much the last coming up to the finish, but certainly out there in the terrain there's some challenges, technical challenges. I just saw on the video Malcolm Ingham, the New Zealand walk coach, who's come over for this weekend's competition, finishing there. And we'll get a bit organised and we'll hopefully be able to focus on some of the other classes, but the elites will be starting shortly and we'll focus on them towards the end of the morning. We've got an Australian representative. I think it's Claire Hawthorne on the big screen at the moment of one of her controls earlier in the course. You can see that the terrain that she's running through on the big screen is one of the what I would call 3 different types of terrain out there that you're going to experience. It's not all as open as that. And a big thank you again to the mobile camera out there doing some great work with the video, following the runners through the terrain, and also the stationary cameras that we've got out there as well from Living It Live. And we hope that you've really appreciated the benefits of having all this information coming through into the arena. It's also, as has been for the rest of the week, going live to the internet. So if you want to watch it on your smartphone, you can at livingatlive.com and go to Live Centre. And there you will be able to watch the feed and listen to the commentary as well. You have it in stereo. I've been told by Jim Russell, the OA head coach, that New Zealand are, if they perform as well as they did yesterday in the Bush Rangers Pine Stars Challenge, they will win just by about 2 or maybe 3 points. So New South Wales, Australia have to do better today than they did yesterday. So people, I guess, like Simon, who unfortunately abandoned his course yesterday, he's very tired after a long week, and so is Bridget. The working with the South Australian schools team as well as competing at the elite level is a bit of a challenge. People like that need to make sure they finish today and do well to make sure that Australia can get in front of New Zealand. I'm still waiting maybe for some information about the ANZ Challenge for all the other classes, because there's a challenge going on here between runners in different age classes right up to men and women 70, I do believe. Ben Rattray coming into the finish, running the men's 40A class today, I think. We are getting times up on the screen for the finish. We will have 2 radio controls out there for the elites later on this morning.
Yeah, but like it should be heartbeating without the cord connected, shouldn't it? I don't know how that works. But all I can tell you, yeah, see how it's flashing? Yeah. So there's something. Cord. Well, no. That's something wrong with my unit. Okay, right.
In the women, in the women's 16A, we've got Natalie Miller in the finish in a time of 38.26. That puts her in second place, 44 seconds down on the current leader in the women's 16A class.
Apparently, Michael said graphics is also crap. Yeah. We need one person. Event, yeah.
Basil Baldwin finishing in the men's 80 class, and just behind him running for Australia, Paula Shingler. So we'll We just got a few technical issues over here, so I won't have any times for a little while. So we'll just have to wait for that to be fixed.
Yeah, so there's a control right there, and then there's a control further that way.
They should have put you somewhere where there were no controls.
Nah.
Just give people up. They'd see you and they'd be looking all around.
Yeah.
If Greg Tamblin is in the arena, could he please come to the finish tent? Greg Tamblin, today's organiser, to the finish tent. Thank you.
A little late for that, guys. No, sorry, not you guys.
Yeah, you do have Vortex here, right?
Yeah, I do.
The camera though, do you have a bag for it?
I don't think so. Yeah, because it's starting to rain here.
Just, oops. I should actually look. Look at the bomb.
Oh my god.
Just to let you know how things can go funny, we've just discovered that the radio controls are not on daylight saving time. So we're going to get that fixed up and synced, and once that happens, we will get some radio control time. So
I'm pretty sure.
that's all right. We'll let you off.
Okay. Thank you. Alright. Look after yourself. Okay. Yeah, they're all skipping control.
But I can give you a finish time. For example, Martina Craig in the women's 45 has taken the lead with a time of 32:38. In the women's 14, Claire Adams has come into fourth place with a time of 27:07. Gail Quantock has finished in the women's 55A in a time of 36:10, puts her in second place, 3 minutes down. And Guy Corey Wright has just finished from Auckland in a time of 38:27 in the men's 55. That puts Guy currently into fifth place. So there's some pretty fast times out there in the men's 55 class, because the current leader has a time of about 30, just over 30 minutes. Ruben Smith in the men's 40, finishing a time of 38.37. It puts him in currently in third place, but 8 minutes 34 down on the current leader in the men's 40A class. We, in 2 minutes' time, we'll have the first starter in the men's elite. We've got Kurt Newman at 10:31, the first starter. And the last starter in the men's elite will be today Matt Crane at 11:57. So if we got a winning time of around 30 to 35 minutes, we would expect by 12:30 we'll have the finalisation of the men's elite class. In the women's elite, the first starter is Sophie Thomas at 11 o'clock, and the last starter in the women's elite class today is the winner from yesterday, Lizzie Ingham at 11:59. So we're going to have the conclusion of the women's elite and the men's elite almost at the same time. So the start list hasn't done the commentators any favour this morning. So we'll have to concentrate on both those at the same time. And if we go to the junior elite class, we've got the first starter in the men's 20 at 11 o'clock. The last starter is Dante Afnan at 11:44. So that class will come to the conclusion of around 12:15. So it's all going to be happening in the elite classes between 12 and 12:45 this morning. We've got the first starters out in the women's 20 elite, so that'll be the first of the elite classes that we'll be able to concentrate on. My apologies to those who don't like us focusing too much on the elites, but I haven't got enough information in front of me to do the other classes at the moment. But Ella Cuthbert will be the last starter in the junior elite at 11:16. So that will come to a conclusion at around 11:45. So that will be the first one. So in about half an hour, we'll be able to focus on the women's junior elite, and then we'll have to concentrate on the men's senior and the the women's senior elite at the same time, because they're almost going to be running parallel in terms of finishing.
Good morning, everyone. Just a reminder for the quarantine for the elite. It's 10:45. It's up the road, the paddock on the right-hand side. So I'll be up there checking you in 10:45.
your tracker. And secondly, the quarantine, you need to be there at 11:15, which is in about 10 minutes. Just back up the road to your right, there's a toilet and a bit of shade up there. So that's the quarantine elite. And pick up your tracker before you go, please.
Hashtag average map
of the week. Yes.
Yeah, that's perfect.
That's one. Hashtag average map.
Hashtag Ethan's ripped.
Look, I'm gonna say spur posting. I think definitely there's a lot of good stuff in there.
Can't beat the classic hashtag orienteering is cool.
Oh my gosh, I can't even remember any. Dank running, that's one of them. Oh, hashtag orienteering is cool. It just told me those two.
I love orienteering mistakes and orienteering fashion. They're like the two best things on the internet.
I do like the hashtag silly season on the O Transfers account on Twitter for when all the transfers going around in the off season for the Scandinavian club.
6 short blasts. And no, I think you're good with that. You don't need any others. 6 short blasts. Check it out.
Hashtag average map and hashtag Aston Key.
Well, I can only think of one. Hashtag Aston Key.
Straight is great, or probably more recently, straight is key. And then also, no such thing as route choice, only weakness.
I definitely spend more time training, thinking and preparing for orienteering than I do on social media. But they're not mutually exclusive. A lot of my social media is orienteering related. Sadly.
My social media time doesn't exceed my training time / thinking time.
I really hope not, but it probably does. Yeah.
That is a close one.
No. No way. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, 100% guilty.
I hope not. I'm not too active on social media. I do a little bit of following along on there and having a bit of a look around.
Probably not. No, because I follow spur posting and always do spur or gully.
Depends on if I've had a bad day at work and I'm trying to avoid going out.
On my training days, hopefully it doesn't.
If you ask Warren, he'd probably say yes, he thinks I'm on my phone all the time, but no, not true.
Most of my social media concerns orienteering, so I think it just contributes to the time spent thinking and talking about orienteering.
My social media time is so minimal. I'm not a big social media guy. My phone is 1,000 years old.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, probably.
Except a lot of the social media time is put into spur posting, which technically is orienteering related, so we could link it back to being a training time.
So there we have some of the up-and-coming and current elites with telling us about their social media. So I suppose I could say, what's that? But anyway, what's that? Huh. Right, we have the junior girls in the elite class. We've got about 10 starters out there in the terrain. I can tell you, if you look directly over to past the big screen to the right, you see a very open hillside with what appears to be a fair bit of bare rock on it, and also some thickets of fairly spiky blackberries. And we've got a fair few people navigating their way through that. And we do know that the course setter, or one of the course setters, Warren Key, has been telling me that on the elite course, there are 5 distinct sections of the map in terms of the type of terrain that you run through. And I've been out there, and I can vouch for 4 of those. And obviously my course was not long enough to go into the 5th one. So I'll leave your imagination to work out where that might have been. But you'll all certainly experience the one that you can see directly across from where the finish is. We will see the elites running across that hillside. If your eyesight's good enough, you can pick up who they are. We've got a camera on top of the hill over there on the right-hand side, and we hope to have the radio control as well from that point once it's been synced. And we're all operating on daylight saving time.
Yes, we are, Nick. We certainly are, and isn't it fantastic how we can just look over there and we can see people working their way from that start across to the initial controls there. It's really, really fantastic. And I know that some of the men's elites have already begun, so they will be over there in the mix. If I also look down here, I can see some of the women 20 elites have already begun. The men 20 elites not quite yet, and the women 21 elites not quite yet. So, but it's really fantastic how we can see them going through that initial bits of confusion, it would appear, for some of them. But I have spoken to a few people who have already completed that course, and exactly as you were saying there are very distinctive sections in the course, so people will be getting changed up all the way through, which is fantastic.
And in the junior girls, one of the earlier starters is the winner from yesterday in the long distance for the women's junior elite, Katie Corey Wright. She started this morning at 10:34. So Katie has been out for 7 minutes, and she should have gone probably across that ridge at this very moment, approximately. And if it's a winning time, as I said, for a middle distance of 30 to 35 minutes, then it shouldn't be too long, about 10-15 minutes before we get the first finisher in the women's junior class into the arena.
Yeah, which will be good, and I can see in the start list here that they're not really the quality components are sprinkled across the whole thing, so we're not going to know until the very end.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what's happened with the start list here, but we do have some of the Australian top runners in the last four starters. We got four of the JWOC, three of the JWOC representatives, and Zoe Mellish, who was in the JWOC team, but she chose not to go. Tara starting at 11:10, followed by Carolyn Pagier at 11:12, Zoe Mellish at 11:14, and Ella Cuthbert at 11:16. So they're the four last starters. The New Zealand girls, who have done very well this week, Kaya Jorgensen starting at 10:48, Tessa Burns at 10:52, and of course Katie Corey Wright at 10:34. So the New Zealand girls are earlier in the field, and the more favoured Australian girls are towards the very end of the junior girls field. And speaking of other classes, women's 75A, we got Judy Herkes from Victoria in the finish in a time of 32:52, and that's the fastest time in the women's 75A class. We're now getting radio controls coming through, so it's looking a bit more promising, the information that we've got.
What would you like to see there? He's probably out. We need to get another window. Do you know how to do that? Yep. No, I don't.
The catering's just arrived. In about 10 minutes, they'll need to set up, so let everybody know that catering's available. In 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, over by the coffee. The organisers just told me that the catering has just arrived, and they will be all set up in about 10 or 15 minutes near the coffee van that's been there most of the morning. So if you are waiting for the catering, it'll be there ready in about 10 or 15 minutes' time. If Kim Nan Curvis is around, would she mind coming over to the commentary possibly give us an update on the Australian-New Zealand Challenge point score?
No, I don't actually. What's up, Len? I've got to just write down something to say. But yeah. Did someone give us underneath on the back of that one? Yep. On the back of that one.
Yeah, of course.
We've also got some information from the organisers that there's one free apple each after finishing, courtesy of Snowline Fruits in Stanley. That's, from my knowledge, I think that's east of or south of Beechworth. And we are also here on prison land, courtesy of Corrections Victoria. So hence you might see some signs around that if you go into out-of-bounds areas, you might end up being spoken to. So thank you very much to Corrections Victoria for the use of this fantastic middle distance area that we've got here, right on the edge of Beechworth.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Blair's given me a sort of an update on the AZ Challenge. It seems that Australia is well in the lead, and the issue has been that there's been some team changes yesterday due to injuries and illness, of course. But Australia needs to win some of the classes today to make sure that they win overall. So it's more than likely looking that in our own terrain here in Australia, Australia has managed to win the challenge, but we'll confirm that later once we get some of the classes confirmed. So my current running time for the first starter in the Women's Junior Elite was who was Jess Rogers from Queensland. She's now been out for 31 minutes. So we should maybe be seeing someone in the next 5 to 6 minutes, possibly. And we hope to get the screen up with the radio controls coming through, and we'll be able to give you an update halfway through the course as well. See, the radio times are coming up here. Yeah. This is the problem with this system. Here comes Toby. And we've got the junior girls tracking on the big screen over here, and this is a replay. Katie Corey Wright is live, going to control 8. Which is on the other side of the hill that we're looking at over here on our left-hand side. And you can see how open that section of the map is.
Yeah, and wouldn't it be a good morning if we can have Katie come in with a really hot time and she just has to sweat it out all the way through and see if she can actually hold up or not.
The reason we put this tracking up is because the elites are now in quarantine. There obviously are some small issues of fair play for anyone who hasn't been out on the map yet. But bear with us because we don't think there are any issues with this. But we can see Katie is about to come down to the fence. There are a substantial number of fence crossings out there, as the bulletin told us. And you need to have read all of that information in the bulletin because it's quite descriptive of what to experience and what to expect out there in the terrain. I think Katie must be the first starter that will have the GPS tracking. So she started at 10:34. So our current running time is about 15 minutes. And she's about to go to number 9. And it's a control I actually had this morning when I ran early. A lot of rock around there and some interesting vegetation features as well, which blur your visibility in certain parts of the map. Again, we've got some great mobile video images up on the screen. This cameraman is obviously getting a lot of exercise out here this week and doing a wonderful job. You can see one of those thickets that we were talking about behind this competitor. You just need one for the radio control, really.
Half the trackers haven't been collected, so someone needs to take them up to quarantine. So
where is that?
Quarantine's up in the next paddock.
Do you want someone?
What? Do you want someone? Yeah, if someone can.
Is there someone around who could do a little job for Toph? We need some trackers taken up to the quarantine because the elites haven't picked up their tracker. It would really help us if they wore a tracker. So if someone could help, it's just about 300 metres up the track. Come over to the Living It Live van and we'd appreciate your help.
Okay. Well, then the safest thing for us to do then is to just run off the one because they're on wireless here because they didn't have a long enough cable. So we'll just run off that guy.
Those 4 things have been there all morning. So we need to scroll up.
So then we need
Can
to
you
go
scroll
for
that up?
something different. We'll go for the latest.
No, it won't get rid of them. But I'm thinking if we scroll up to sit them at the top.
Thing is that we're up.
Can we get rid of that as well? Can we get rid of that?
Yeah, I think we can. I don't know, it's giving us that.
Because they're just sitting there and they're a pain in the backside.
Oh, Nick, sorry, I was recovering. And I've got a similar thing, so Australia is quite a long way ahead.
Okay.
So, and there's been another change today too.
We'll just leave it as it is.
Yeah, I don't think it's close. I don't think it's going to be close either.
Okay.
One of the MA teams was swapped. Someone, boy of Shinkler's.
Do you still need some of your
Yeah, we do actually.
Now, can I say?
Oh, have they gone?
They've been taken. Thanks, Helen. Thanks, Helen.
One of my controls too had a box of SI sticks with it. It was on a rock, and where the control was on the rock, there was a rock just up there, and it had this like a lunch box full of SIs.
Out here?
Yeah, on a rock.
Oh,
It was my second last
control.
control.
Tell Lee Privet.
Who's he?
He's the controller.
Okay, well, it definitely had a box of SIs in it.
Well, yeah.
So I remember commenting to someone saying, "Oh, you want a spare SI?"
See how they're...
Yeah, I know.
Do you want to call in here and I'll have a
The
chat to
issue of
him
it
then?
being wireless is really bad.
Is Lee Privet around? Could Lee Privet come over to the commentary tent, please? Lee Privet. Nothing's coming through though.
Yeah, no, I'm going to start a new one.
Nothing's coming through.
See if that might change it. this information.
It's only giving finish times now. Due to lack of information coming through on the screen, we got a few issues. Just filling in the commentary time, we've got Kurt Newman starting at 10:31. So Kurt's been out for 24 minutes on the senior men's elite class, and he was the first starter, followed by Todd Neve and Simeon Burrell. So another 10 minutes or so, we will hopefully have some finishes in the senior men's elite. Jess Rogers has now been out for nearly 30 minutes in the women's junior elite class. She was followed by Ellie De Jong and Ellen Curry, also Abigail George and Katie Corey Wright. And we now have up on the big screen Katie Corey Wright. This is a replay. No, it's a sync. Michaela Cooper is live and Katie Corey Wright is synced. So it shows that Katie Corey Wright has a very 1 minute actually, 1 minute lead because the tail is 1 minute. 1 minute lead over Katie Corey Wright at control number 3. But Katie Corey Wright is a lot more advanced through the course than that. And her current running time is about 22 minutes. Yeah, Kim. There he is.
And we also seem to have this too, like this, some of this original stuff just remains there. I know we've got it on the 20 latest.
Just scroll up to there. Sit that at the top.
Yeah.
That's
so
it.
we have to just keep on.
Yeah.
Here we go. Pulling it. Now we're
we got
wired,
radios.
So now I can do much better.
There are radios coming up there.
Yeah, no worries. Get it close so you can see.
Well, I still have to take my glasses off.
Now we're actually wired. We're no longer on wireless, so I can try and set things up a bit more specialised. I'll get a women's 20E running. So I'll put that to the side for you.
Okay, we now look like we are getting some information coming up on the screen, and we got Katie Corey Wright at Radio 3. That's the radio, I believe, on top of the hill. I'll just give a confirmation of that. Her running time at that point was 22:48. We've also got Arabella Phillips through the first radio in 4th place. Meredith Norman in 7th place. Abigail George, she's also out there at Radio 2. So we're getting 3 radios coming through for the junior girls now. And it looks like Katie Corey Wright has set the leading time at the 3rd radio control in the women's junior elite. And we've got Katie up on the big screen, GPS tracking, a long leg across the big gully, if you call it, with the out of bounds area in the middle of the leg. So they've got to make a decision to go left or right around the out of bounds area that's in the purple hatching. And then they go up onto the other side of this big gully into where the mountain bike park is at the back of Beechworth. So what you're seeing on the screen is Katie Corey Wright going down into the big gully with the green in it. And we've got Michaela Cooper going down on the other side of the hill that we can see in the distance over here to control number 4. And that what you're seeing on the screen is live. So Katie on the side of a very steep slope over here. In other classes, men's 55, we've got Andy Simpson finishing in 5th place in a time of 34.22. That puts Andy in, 3:32 down on the current leader in that class.
And I also note over in the women's 20E at the Radio 1, Jessica Sewell from Northwest in New Zealand coming through 29 seconds ahead of Katie. And she's also tracked through Radio 2 as well, and she's still leading at that point, and she's leading with 3 minutes at that point.
And that's another New Zealand very fast start there by Jessica Sewell. As we said, 3:27 up at Radio 2 after 13 minutes. That's a very substantial lead to her at that point of the course.
And we anticipate on screen we might be able to see Michaela Cooper. They're just looking for her, I think, with the camera. She's still over on that first initial long ridgeline there.
And the other New Zealand starter, Kaya Jorgensen at Radio 1 in 4th place. 1:19 down on the time of her compatriot. So it looks like we've got 3 New Zealand girls in the lead at the first radio control. But as we said earlier, they were the first starters. The quality Australians are at the tail of the field. And we can see an Australian runner running across the bare rock over here on the video.
Yep, that should be
It's Michaela Cooper. Current running time of 11:44. Arabella Phillips has gone through Radio 2, 3:27 down. And we're just waiting for Katie Corey Wright. Her running time at the moment is 28 minutes. No, sorry. Yeah, approximately.
And they're on a 4-kilometre course, the girls. 26 of them in that event.
So I just wonder where that is.
Would be handy to have that information, wouldn't it?
So this is just women's 20E, isn't it?
Yes. We change that at any time. Oh yeah, I've actually set up the ones. Oh okay. So I've got a separate one for 21Es, a separate one for 21 women and men, and a separate one for men 20E as well. So we've got them all ready to use as we desire.
It's telling me that Jessica Sewell has gone through the radio with a time of 24:37, and that means that she's now down on the time of Katie Corey Wright. So she was 3 minutes up, but she looks to me like she's now about 2 minutes down on the time of Katie Corey Wright. And Katie Corey Wright should not be too far away from coming into the next radio control. Her current running time is 30 minutes. And so we should expect to see her soon in the finish. If she's going to do a running time under 35 minutes. Yes, it's confirmed that Jessica Sewell at Radio 3 is now 2:33 down on the time of Katie Corey Wright.
Oh, sorry. There you go. That's just me looking for whatever else I can find.
She punched the other radio control as well. So
oh, okay.
Which is why.
Okay.
John Katie's tracking the top.
And we're watching live, I think. live. Katie Corey Wright at control 12. And the video now is showing Michaela Cooper again. Disappeared behind the thicket.
Yeah, and I think we saw Michaela was having a bit of a challenge with that control. So I'm not sure if she's actually found it. She looks like she has now.
So very tricky out there, a great middle distance area, and we know that Jessica Sewell was not in front actually. She punched a wrong radio control and then she went to the right one, and that explained why she had a faster time than Katie Corey Wright.
I see.
But we need to keep an eye out for Katie because she's now on a running time of 31 minutes. And Pip Poole, finishing in the women's 60A, has taken the lead in the women's 60 with a time of 32.18. She's representing New Zealand, I think, in the ANZ Challenge. I could be corrected on that one, but Pip's had a very good time, and she's taken the lead in that class. And we've now got Michaela Cooper again running across the top of the Bear Hill over here on our left-hand side. She's had a bit of trouble at a previous control. Lee Privet, could you come again to the commentary tent, please? Lee Privet. Katie Corey Wright. I wonder if the last controls are ready. Be interesting. So Katie Corey Wright on the screen, up the steep slope, back across the other side of the steep gully to rock face on the edge of some bare rock. Again, that control was something that I visited this morning early. But I came from the north, above the big rock, which is above the bare rock. And she's got a small run then into 15, and then the climb up to the last control. And then we'll have our first, I think, finisher in the Women's Junior Elite class, and she'll be setting a time for the rest of the field to beat. Her current running time, if my mathematics is right, is 34 minutes. So she's going to do maybe just under the 40 minutes for the women's elite class. And I can see the oldest entrant finishing there in the middle distance, Herman Werner. Right. So congratulations again to Herman on finishing the men's 95 class in a time of 116 minutes and 24 seconds.
That is quite some determination, isn't it? Fantastic, Herman.
And another Australian on the screen coming out of the control. Great camera work there by the camera operators. We've got Tessa Burns at Radio 2. They are 2 minutes down on the fastest at that point. This is Joanna George on the big screen. This is early in her course, only after 13 minutes of running time. So I'd say the next 2 minutes we will more than likely have Katie Corey Wright at the last control.
Yeah, I think you're right there. It'll be good to see the time she happens to post, and then to see how long that time just may last.
So Herman Werner finished in the men's 95 in a time of 1 hour 56.24. So don't we all wish that we could be able to do that sort of thing when we are 95? Lee Privet, if you're around, could you come to the commentary tent, please? Lee Privet. So I keep saying it, but Katie Corey Wright's running time now is 36 minutes. So the next 2 minutes, we've got Joanna George representing Australia in the Women's Junior Elite on the screen at the moment, running up the Big Bear Rock. And there's plenty of that out there on this map. It's quite amazing. Abigail George, who we saw on the big screen a minute ago, is actually in third place at the third radio control.
And we've got
in
live
a time, sorry, of
tracking here.
36.42.
We've got live tracking on Katie. She's between the second last and last control. So we're going to have her into the finish very soon. Working her way over to 16.
It's deceptively a little bit of a climb coming up to the last control, as you can see over here from the commentary tent. It's on the knoll, and there's a few contours that you have to get up. So it's a bit of a interesting last control. The catering is now up and running, so go over and support the local catering. It's over near the coffee van. So we can see Katie just coming past the high points. She's just over here. There she is on the big screen.
There she is on screen.
Just checking the number. From what I remember, she's coming up to the other side of the knoll that we're looking at over here. And she will navigate her way around the knoll because there's a lot of fallen timber on that rocky ground there. So current running time at 38. So she's going to maybe get just under the 40 minutes in the junior elite class. Her compatriot in the meantime, Tegan Knightbridge from New Zealand, has gone through the Radio 1 in fourth place. So as we said, most of the New Zealand girls started early. And the favoured Australian girls started towards the end of the field.
There you go. We have Katie very, very close.
So we do, having looked at our map, we have worked out that Katie made a bit of an error on this control. She ran too far around the spur, and she had to come back up the spur, and here she is now. In the finish, she's on the big screen.
There you go. We have Katie Corey Wright coming in to take an initial lead in the Women's 20 Elite for New Zealand, and we're wondering how long she'll be able to hold that time.
The winner of yesterday's long distance is going to set the fastest time in the finish, and this looks like it will be a time of just under 40 minutes to Katie Corey Wright. We'll have to wait and see, obviously, for another half an hour, but this will set the benchmark. And a time of approximately 39 and a half minutes.
And it's good to see Katie trying out a bit of the Scandi flop. She's done it sort of backwards though, but it's good to see it.
We're not getting any. We need to turn over to the men's senior elite because we had first started there at 10:30. That means they've been out for nearly 45 minutes. So we should be starting to get some of the men's senior elite coming through. Kurt Newman is out there early. Simeon Burrell. Oh, that's interesting. He's coming up in Swedish. Simeon Burrell, Stampla vid Radio 1.
Which means he's punched that control.
I think that means he's punched that control. Oh, things you got to handle.
And we just got on screen that Katie coming to that last control, and as you were saying there, she went a little bit to the right, but then sorted it out. Probably didn't lose very much time, but there may not be much time up her sleeve as the morning progresses.
So Katie's time is confirmed as a time of 39:31. So that's... And again, we've got some great camera work. Caitlin Young representing Australia, the JWOC representative from 2019. Looks like she's running with someone else in that class. She's just gone past in amongst the thickets. Oh, I had this control, a little bit tricky. There's a lot of thickets in there. There's also a crossing on the fence, and that's what helped me, but she's run past it. Came in too low, and now she's got a climb over the hill, and I think that when she goes to the top of the hill over here that we were looking at, and she'll go through a radio control. Kaya Jorgensen, it's coming up on the screen that Kaya Jorgensen is running 6 seconds faster than anyone else at the radio control, which was number 3. And her current running time, 24:31, so that's going to be very close. It looks between Kaya Jorgensen and Katie Corey Wright, the 2 New Zealand girls.
Yeah, we could see that occurring a little while ago where she was only 6 seconds behind Katie. Now she's in the lead.
And Kaya Jorgensen, we've got on the screen.
Here we go. Here's the thing we can have a look at. This is some replay. Let's see
So we're
how
watching
they're going.
a replay with Tara Mellish live. The other girls are synced against Tara. A little bit of hesitation there by most of them at control number 3. And we've had the second finisher in the Women's Junior Elite. Ellie De Jong has come in a time of 46:32. Ellen Curry in a time of 48:54, currently into 3rd place.
And we have Grace Crane live in the Women's 21 Elite.
And Grace was the second starter in the Women's Elite class. And again, they had the same control as we saw Caitlin Young. And also Grace was down below that thicket. So the blackberries have been thriving in the last few months with all the rain around, and they're very, very prominent out there on the terrain.
Yeah, it looks like they are a feature that people are making good use of.
Brianna Stephen from New Zealand has gone through the Radio 1 in a time of 11:14. She's 57 seconds down. So we're now waiting for Kaya Jorgensen, but we've got Grace still on the big screen. Again, the great camera work by the roving video camera out there in the terrain. And still no finishes in the men's senior elite. They've been out there now for nearly 47 minutes, the first starters in that class. So it may be a pretty tough course for some of those competitors today with the climb. And we do know that they've got to go over the other side of the valley. So back to live with Caitlin Young is live, I believe.
No, they're all on a replay.
They're all on replay. So Michaela Cooper has made a few errors early on and is making one down on the right-hand side there. So Caitlin Young, we saw a small error from Caitlin, but she's almost equal with Katie Corey Wright at control 8. And Michaela, we can see Michaela having to go back to control 5. And I think that's what we saw on the video. So we've got Katie and Caitlin going to a downhill control on a boulder. Not easy.
Yeah, and we have Caitlin's actually live in that shot, so they're sort of neck and neck at that position.
So Kaya Jorgensen's current running time is 32 minutes. Now, Katie Corey Wright did 39, so Kaya's got 7 minutes to get into the finish if she's going to take the lead away from her New Zealand compatriot. Another Australian, Tara Mellish, on the big screen, punching that one and running straight into it, coming from the low side. Jessica School in the New Zealand are finishing in the women's junior elite there in a time of 41.41. So again, some great camera work from our Living It Live camera people of Tara Mellish going under the fence crossing, down past the thickets. I think she's going to the thicket that we saw Caitlin Young at a little while ago. So if I'm right, she'll have to turn to the right, her right, shortly, yes, and go down to the thicket. And there she is coming into it. Very smooth, very consistent speed running there by Tara. And as we've said, great running by the camera person. So I can tell you that Tara was 7 seconds behind at the first radio control. So it's going to be very close here today in the junior girls between, I think, some of the New Zealand girls and some of the Australian girls. Tara's got the long climb up between the thickets, over the top of the spur and down into, I think, which is maybe a boulder. She's got the rock face. And okay, we've just been told that they can hear us out there in the terrain, so we just better be careful about what we say. But we've got the tracking back up on the screen.
And this is all on replay here, all four.
So a small error from Tara there. She exited control 4 in the wrong direction. And that means, but her running speed has meant that she's caught up and she's gone ahead of Caitlin Young at control 7. We saw her on the video at control 6 and 7. And she was running very smoothly into those two controls. So she's taken a little bit of a lead. Maybe up to 40 seconds over Katie Corey Wright, because the tail is 1 minute.
And some of the recent results in at the finish, we've got a lot of Corey Wright results here. We've got Anna. Corey Wright has taken the lead in women 18A, and we've got Jean taking the lead in women 60A.
And this is Ella Cuthbert going into the control. No, Zoe Mellish, sorry, my apologies. Coming out of that control that we saw her sister at. We know how fast Zoe can run, and she's going to do the same as we just saw her sister do, go through the fence crossing and down past the thickets to the blackberry bush.
No.
So I've got Kaya Jorgensen on a running time of 36 minutes, so she needs to be in the finish in the next 2.5 minutes if she's going to get under the time of Katie Corey Wright. So we've got Carolyn Berger running for Queensland here, been living in Sweden for 12 months, represented Australia at JWOC, and we think she started...
Look at that, hey, look at that.
So she started, sorry. 2 minutes behind Tara and 2 minutes in front of Zoe.
We've got some real racing
And
happening up there on the hill.
so Zoe has caught Caitlin by 2 minutes, and it looks like Zoe is on a very good run. Tara Mellish now is in the lead at the second radio control. She has a 10-second lead at the second radio control. And we'll just wait for her sister to go through that radio control because she looked like she was on a pretty good run too. There they are, still going up the slope. And Kaya Jorgensen now is on 37 minutes, just ticking over. So we're waiting to see her at the last control, if she's going to get under the time of Katie Corey Wright.
Back with another replay there and a much bigger list now for us to look at. So we've got the top 6 at that point in time. Full replay of all of them. Not much space. It's really good. They're all sort of together in that leading crew of 4.
And we're getting close to the time for Kaya Jorgensen. We don't have tracking for Kaya. We haven't had a radio control for a little while. So she should come over the top of that hill if the previous radio control time is going to be, if she stayed on the same speed as Katie Corey Wright for the rest of the course.
Nick, it looked like that control 5 got a few of them there. We can actually almost see that control from here. It's, but they've spread. They're going through the Blackberry Maze, the bulk of them right now on the tracking. That's stage 3 of the course. The first stage being the thick green up the top, the second stage being the heathland, and then the Blackberry Maze.
And we've got Bruce Arthur finishing here, representing Australia in the men's 45, I think it is, 45 class. Bruce coming into the finish, and I've got a time for Zoe Mellish. She is taken the lead away from her sister. She's 51 seconds in front of Tara at the second radio control. So she looked to me like she was on a really good run on the screen, and that is been proven. She's 51 seconds up. I can tell you that Kaya Jorgensen is now 2:36 down on her New Zealand compatriot at radio control 4. And she should be in the finish, but she will not take the lead.
People don't want him. And people don't want Nick either. That's right. So I'm just trying to be the moderator. It's the same thing.
Carolyn Paget's gone through radio 2, 2 minutes and 12 down. And so she's running just behind Zoe Mellish, who started 2 minutes behind her. But Zoe has taken a clear lead at the second radio control over her sister, Tara. And that means we're looking out for Ella Cuthbert because she was the last starter in the women's junior elite class, 2 minutes behind Zoe.
Looks pretty interesting up there on the hillside. The first kilometre or two, they've gone through that sort of 3 stages of the variation of the terrain. Back the first part being the thick green, then in the forest, then this open heathland you can see on the hillside, and then the Blackberry Maze. So that's really sorted them out, Nick.
Is that Kaya? Yeah, some of those controls are causing a few hesitations out there. I know what it's like. I was there myself. It's rock with a lot of thickets around, and you're on the side of the hill as well. And unfortunately, we can see a kangaroo going across there at the moment. But Kaya Jorgensen, I think she'll be a little too late.
Here comes Kaya now.
She was up with her compatriot Katie Corey Wright, but we think she's now just over 2 minutes down on the time of Katie Corey Wright.
That's a great run. She's just W16, I think, in reality.
Yep.
Nick, that's a great effort. That's in technical terrain. That's a good sign.
So she set the second fastest time, 41.17. That puts her 146 down on Katie's time. So a very good run by one of the younger girls in the women's junior elite class.
Well, New Zealanders are looking good again, Nick.
Oh, I'm not too sure. We got Tara and Zoe out there. We know they're faster than Katie at the second radio control. So we're waiting for a time for Ella Cuthbert to come through. We haven't got anything on Ella at the first radio control.
Can you get it come over? Oh, yeah. Here comes Kaya's dad in the finish. If we look on the screen, he's just coming into the corner of the fence. A famous orienteer, Carsten Jurgensen, still holds, or he's a gold medalist at the walk, and I think twice, and still holds the Danish record for the half marathon and the 10K. He is a celebrity in Denmark, and here he is coming to the finish, Carsten Jurgensen. Well done, Carsten. I think Kaya might have beaten him as well. That could be a moment of swap over. Been through that myself.
Carsten's come into second place in the men's 45 in a time of 35.27, but 5 minutes 19 down on the current fastest time in that, which I don't have on the screen, but maybe if I take an educated guess, it could be Brice Arthur. But I don't mind someone telling me that I'm wrong there, because the screen doesn't tell me who currently is leading that class. But we should have some more information on Zoe Mellish and her sister Tara very shortly. Brianna Steven is punching Radio 3. She's 2 minutes down on the time of Katie Corey Wright.
We've got Katie Corey right here, Nick, and we're seeing Tara coming into number 11. Katie, what was that control like?
Number 11, that was all right, I thought. Not too hard. I was a bit low, but I got there in the end.
Do you think she's going the right way? She's up above it?
I think, yeah, there's probably two quite even route choices there. I went below and past that bare rock and through the boulders, but I think her route looks pretty fast currently.
It looks like she's coming across the hillside and should be able to see that grade below her. But if she's missed that, then it is a bit of a vague one, because she's going to come above the flag. Tricky stuff.
Yeah, it was behind the cliff, so if she comes from above. But she's nearly there. She'll probably get it.
Starting to get anxious. This is the important one.
No, I actually had a terrible run, so I won't be surprised if she... the next control will be interesting. That's probably the one that I took a bit of a rookie route choice, I think.
Watching. This is critical. Yeah, I think she's... she must be able to see the flag by now. It's quite good visibility. Oh! Yeah, she must be there, Nick, you think?
You look like you hesitated as to whether to go left or right around the out of bounds, Katie.
Yeah, I didn't really have a plan for that one. I just kind of saw the line and was like, okay, I'll go up that hill. And then when I was on the top, I couldn't get through that blackberry, so I ended up going around the hillside along that bare rock and went too far because I couldn't find my way through the blackberry. But yeah, I think I lost a lot of time on that one. So yeah, it wasn't a good choice.
Okay, so you think a time maybe about 35 minutes possibly, or?
Yeah. What did I do? 39. I probably lost. Yeah, I'd say 5 minutes mistakes. 4 maybe.
Here's your course right now. Let's have a look at that 11 to 12 leg. Talk us through.
So I went up the hill and then I was like, oh, surely I'll see if this green's penetrable. It definitely wasn't. So I ran through the open. Running along the hillside was okay. It was a bit slow. And then when I was planning to cross over just past the hashed purple lines, but I missed it. I couldn't really tell if I didn't want to go through the out of bounds like I nearly did. And then ended up on that track through the green, realised where I was and had to go back round to 12. So I think definitely the better route for that would be going straight down from 11, crossing the stream there and up the other side.
I think that might be consequential. So now we're looking at the screens. But you just take it as you see it, where you're not planned.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I'm not very good at planning on route choice controls. I usually just run in the direction of the line and make it up as I go, and it works out. But yeah, I probably should.
Let's wait and see. Well done, Katie.
Thanks, Katie. The last starter in the women's junior elite, Ella Cuthbert, has just gone through the fence crossing. Her current running time, 15:44. She was the last starter. And we've got Tessa Burns in the finish in that class in a time of 41:49. So 3 New Zealand girls are very close together there. But we've got possibly 2 at least Australian girls who can get under the time that Katie has set.
This is great coverage. Ella's a little bit low. She's turned around. Yep, she spotted it. So that's the blackberry maze. It's like a building maze, but of blackberries. Great variety. Climbing the hill now.
We've seen a few mistakes made at that control. Not big ones, but just small hesitations as to which actual thicket the control is on.
This next one. So we have Michaela Cooper coming into the finish. Just finishing now. Well done, Michaela.
Michaela's time will be 5.5 minutes down, and that puts her currently in 5th place.
She's an emerging talent from Tasmania. She was in the jaywalk. She's learning, on the fly, but she's going to come through. Don't you worry about that.
So the last starter we got running up the hill, Ella Cuthbert to the control on the rock face.
There's some great photos there, Nick. This is fantastic coverage.
Great video work for sure. Tara's current running time is 25 minutes, so it's quite a while before we'd expect her to be in the arena. She was the first of the 4 jaywalk representatives to start. Carolyn Pagier, Tara's sister Zoe, and Ella Cuthbert. Zoe didn't actually go to jaywalk, but she was picked in the team. So those 4 girls are the ones who can get under the New Zealand girls' times.
We're watching Jensen Key. I watch with trepidation, anxiety, and concern. I think he probably didn't pick the best way on the first one. Made a little bit of a hesitation on 2, but he's through clean now. So there he is coming across to the open heathland section. He's through the moonscape just there. Now he's into the open heathland. This is a replay. So across that hillside to our left from the commentary. Nailed that one. That's a good effort, Jensen. Well done, mate. Across the top there. Now he's coming back on the diagonal downhill. This is a very challenging control. Into the blackberries. Good find. Yep, that's a clean run. Through the gap, through the blackberry maze. He's gone through the green there. It's a bit shallow. And this is where we saw him just a moment ago with Ella. Up to the cliff and then over the top of the hill in the distance there.
Well, he's on a pretty good run. He's only 51 seconds down at the radio control that we've got on the screen. And he looks like he's moving pretty smoothly there. He's coming down off the slope now to the crossing.
He surprised me. He's entered the 20 elite, so good on him for giving it a chance. Well,
it's a middle distance. Takes the opportunity to get some chance to run against the good girls. And we see Zoe Mellish making a substantial mistake here. She was in front of Carolyn Pagier. Carolyn Pagier's now got in front of her, so I'd say a 30-second mistake there by Zoe.
Looks like she can still see Carolyn, so I'd say she's just running hard to catch, which will be interesting to see her. But that might rush this next control, 11 to 12. You can see Carolyn making...
And her sister is gone to the left. As Katie Corey Wright said, that's the preferred... She thinks that's the preferred way to go to control 12. And Carolyn Pagier and Tara and Zoe are all going that way. So in terms...
I think Zoe looks like she's caught that space up with a little hesitation from Carolyn on the route choice. So I think Carolyn's made the right decision to go back down to the left, but that's cost her the gap that she... So maybe 30 seconds on that.
And the tail on Tara is 1 minute. She started 2 minutes in front of Carolyn, but she started 4 minutes in front of Zoe. So it looks to me like Zoe has still got a small lead over Tara at this point of the course.
It'd be interesting, this climb with Carolyn and Zoe. That's a nasty little pinch up around those rocks. So it is by now there'll be some fatigue, particularly after yesterday. But that's the second time they've had to climb a steep hill. So a bit of fitness will show here. Carolyn's still in front, so that's great news.
So great tracking, great video on the screen. We've got live tracking here for the women's junior elite class. Tara Mellish approaching control 12. Her sister and Carolyn Pagier climbing the slope with all the rock on it. And it looks to me like Carolyn's going a little bit to the left. Maybe she's hit some rock and she's been pushed away by that rock. And we should be able to concentrate on the final of this Junior Girls Elite before we turn over to look at the really competitive runners in the men's and women's senior elite and also the men's junior elite. So it's going to be a challenge for us in a minute, Warren. We're going to have to concentrate on 3 of the elite classes all at the same time.
You're the master of this, Nick, mate. I'm just here for my good looks. That's that Blackberry Maze. Control's just on the other side. found a gap through the rough stuff. Look left. Yep, there it is right now. There should be... Oh! Yes, he must have got it. Yep. Now up to the little rock face. A nasty little pinch.
Joanna George finishing in the Women's Junior Elite in a time of 42.38, so that puts her in 5th place.
Caitlin Young coming up the escarpment.
Oh, this could be a very... This could be a new fast time. She was running really well early on in the course, and here she is, Caitlin Young. She's going to take the lead away from Katie Corey Wright, the JWOC representative from Australia. Caitlin Young is going to take a 2-minute and about 40-second lead over Katie Corey Wright. So a really good second part of the course for Caitlin Young. And that will be a lead of 2 minutes and 45 seconds over Katie Corey Wright.
That's a good day. Caitlin's an excellent navigator, and she showed that today, Nick, that's for sure. We'll see if we can get an interview with Caitlin.
Yep. And that means we could have 3 ACT cockatoos on the top 3 place getters here today. If Zoe and Tara can stay on course, they are well under the time of the New Zealand girls. So here we have a sync of the GPS tracking.
Tight there. This little hesitation to the going straight and then cutting back cost time for those people. You can see Katie Corey Wright making that mistake or that choice. Yeah, that's significant.
That green looks impenetrable down there.
It's blackberries.
Tara had to go left to get around it. But they look like they're running very, very closely together. We've got Caitlin Young's GPS tracking. We've got Zoe just in front up the slope, and we've got Tara to the south on the side of the hill. So it's going to be very close between Tara, Zoe, and Caitlin.
Got to be now.
And as we heard from Katie Corey Wright, she went way to the right. And the rest of the girls have climbed early. So here we go. Zoe Mellish. Look at the running speed. Zoe Mellish has got away. And Carolyn did make that mistake. She went left as she climbed the slope, and she's still on that slope. So Carolyn's made an error, and that's taken her out of the mix. So we're down to Zoe, who's just into control 12, and Tara. And we do know that Katie's went to almost to control 13 before she got to control 12. So that cost her a little bit of time as well.
Wonderful. Good. Because it's going to be tight.
So we're going to have a chat, or Warren's going to have a chat with Caitlin while we wait for Zoe and Tara.
Caitlin, well done. If we had a hot seat, you'd be sitting in it right now. You're leading the race. We've been watching the GPS tracking. They're right on you. How was your race?
The first half was pretty messy, but in the second half I didn't really make any big mistakes, just maybe entrance to the control, so I reckon it's going to be pretty tight. Zoe's pretty fast.
Yeah, she is, but it's a navigator's day as well. It's a middle distance. You've had a terrific day. If you had to guess right now?
I'm not sure.
So what controls have we got left that you think that Tara or Zoe will have troubles with? We're looking at the map right now. 14, 15.
Yeah, probably 15, 14 was all right. It just depends how well they get through that green bit there, if they spot the little track or what side of the gully they go up. But yeah, that green slowed me down a little bit there, so maybe they could get past me there.
I think it's going to be very tight. Hang around, Caleb. You may well be the one, but it could be the top 3. It's very, very tight. This should be interesting, Nick.
And while we've been talking, we've got a new second place getter in the Women's Junior Elite. Marina Kamensky from New Zealand is in a time of 38.48. So she has taken second away from Katie Corey Wright. So we're back to waiting for Tara and Zoe. Tara was the earlier starter, so we should see her first. But we've also got Will Tidswell on the screen in the junior boys. So once the junior girls have been finalised, we'll be concentrating on the other 3 elite classes.
Okay,
So we're back
here
live. I think, Warren, we're back live with Tara.
That's live, yeah, that's live. Looks like Carolyn's caught back up with Zoe. So it's there's a lot of work up that hill, steep hill. What do you think?
Yeah, I was pretty slow up that hill, and I think Tara and Zoe have a lot stronger legs than me, so...
Surely you put some money in the training bank?
Yeah, I think I might have to now.
Orienteering is a big mix of things.
Yeah, I reckon I've got to pick up the running part of it a bit more.
You've done very, very well.
And we know the tail is a minute, so Tara started 4 minutes in front of Zoe, and we think that Carolyn is out of the mix at this point, so it's how far between Tara and Zoe, and also Tara's running time compared to Caitlin. So Tara is now coming up the spur to the last control here.
We may even see her near the fence line, I think, Nick. It depends on how far she cuts out, but her route choice looks, or her way she's going looks like she's moving away now.
And her current running time is exactly 36 minutes. So Caitlin's running time, finish time was 36:07, so she's too late. So Tara is too late to get under the time of Caitlin, and here she is at the last
Tara
control.
now.
So it's going to come down between Zoe and Caitlin, and we've got Caitlin sitting here in the hot seat.
Caitlin, how you feeling?
Pretty good to beat Tara. I mean, she's a bit of a legend, so yeah, I feel pretty good now about where I'm at.
Here comes Tara now.
So
Still
maybe I've
moving
called
smoothly.
that a little early. She's on a running time.
It's down to just a few seconds.
It's going to come down
It's
to
tight
seconds.
as.
Caitlin will hold on to the lead. Tara Mellish in the finish. And it's too late to take first place away from Caitlin Young. So now it's waiting for Tara's sister Zoe, who started 4 minutes behind her. So she needs to get in the next 3 minutes if she's going to take the lead away from Caitlin.
So a clean run, Caitlin, and a bit of money in the training bank obviously is paying off.
Yeah, I reckon. I think Zoe might get it, though. I think she was pretty close here.
So it's a countdown. It's going to be about 2.5 to 3 minutes for Zoe to get in to take the lead.
So any last thoughts, Caitlin, while we sit here waiting for the result to happen?
Yeah, I was standing in front of a couple controls at the start, which I'm a bit annoyed at myself now because I was about 2 meters away from like 3 of them. But
If you gave yourself some advice, if you were at the start line now, what would it have been?
read your map.
That's terrific advice.
And we got Grace Crane in the senior elite class. This will be the first finisher in the women's senior elite, but we've got Zoe. We did have her up on the GPS tracking, but we're waiting for the yellow top that Zoe is wearing to appear at the last control. We've got a camera there.
That's Grace on the screen. Grace Crane, third yesterday, I think it was, Nick.
Yeah.
Great run. She's performing outstandingly well.
I've got Zoe on 44.25, so she's got to get under 36.07. So it's going to be very close.
We should see her very shortly. Where's the tracking? It? Oh, we're live.
We're live.
This is starting to look
we're
better
live.
and better, Caitlin.
If that's live, we've got a winner sitting here in the chair.
Yeah, I don't know what she's doing there. Bit interesting choice. That might be good for me. So.
Well, maybe those two have helped each other make a mistake, so to speak. We obviously missed the tracking from 14 to 15, but it does look like Zoe's lost time, and she is going to be a little late to get under the time of Caitlin.
We're still undecided, and we're still fighting for second and third. So there's a bit to be done.
She's a winner.
But I think we can say that you, Caitlin, are the winner of the women's 20 elite today. That's your first big win.
Yeah, I think so actually, and it's a good comeback for middle after my 2 missed punches at jaywalk. So,
No. Here's Zoe now. It's going to be very, very close. Zoe is at the last control, and she's coming down into the finish. And this is going to come down to be very close. We know how fast Zoe can be.
Sorry, Caitlin.
She has really speeded up at the end and got away from Carolyn Berger. So Zoe Mellish in the finish. This is going to come down to seconds. I've got her winning by 2. But we'll just have a confirmation of that. My watch might be wrong.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I apologise to Caitlin.
But it's much more than 2. It's about, it looks like it's 30 seconds.
Yeah,
So
I think we've got mixed messages on the screen here, Nick.
Yep.
So we have a result. We just sit on the chair for the second there till we get the clarity. Great run, Caitlin, for sure. Anytime you get in the top 3 in this sort of level field is a great result. And well done, but just wait a moment. But it looks like Zoe might have pulled that one off, I think, in the end.
Yeah,
Nick.
she has.
She's had a powerful last section.
Yep. And my mathematics was wrong because I had the wrong time for Caitlin in my head. My apologies. Zoe's time was 36:07, so she's won by 40 seconds.
Wow.
No, hang on, 5 seconds. No, 40 seconds. 40-second victory over Caitlin in the women's junior elite class. So now we turn over to the men's junior elite.
Sorry.
Only you. Happy to you.
Yeah.
That's Simon.
Yeah, okay.
Who's also on the screen at the same time.
Okay, on the screen right now we've got the replay of the early starters in the 20 elite. And Will Tidswell from New Zealand's in there. Angus Haynes, a little bit left of the control 2. And now we should see some genuine leg speed here. Alistair George, good leg speed. Look at that. That's little error, not finding the gap. This is the tricky one. 4, clean for Alistair. Yes. Clean.
So Alistair George running very fast there in the men's junior elite class, establishing a little bit of a minute or so lead over the rest of the field at control 7. I think, Warren, we've got Zoe.
All right. Zoe, miracle return because we'd written you off. And I, by error, gave the win to somebody else, the one right behind you, yet another of your... but you came home with a storm. Where did that come from?
I have no idea. I didn't think I sped up at all. I just tried to keep it consistent.
Where's the theatre? We need a bit of theatre. How was your run?
I had a really good run. I just tried to keep my Mac contact, tried to make it as clean as possible. Really enjoyed it.
Was there any moments when you're out there that you thought, this is going well, I'll protect the lead, or were you just going control by control?
I caught up Caroline. I think she made a bit of a mistake. And so that was a bit of a confidence boost, but I never thought I was running in the lead.
So here you are at the end, and it was tight. It could have gone the other way. Could you have found another 30 seconds or a minute out there?
Yes, maybe. I have no idea.
You had a great run. So winner today, W20E, great run. Caitlin, well done, second. So Australia 1-2.
Yep. Well done, girls. Very close, very interesting, very exciting. And when you win, Warren, you don't have to find an extra 30 seconds, so what's it matter?
Yeah. Wow.
All right. The junior men's elite. It looks like to me from what we saw, Alistair George had a minute or so lead over the rest of the field, about halfway through the course.
Have a new winner. I don't know. What time did she start?
She was 2 minutes after me.
2 minutes, okay. So she made mistakes early on.
I hit my Sunday again.
Well done. Good terrain.
Yes, it was so good.
Yeah, variation, the thick to the open, to the, and then the blackberry maze.
That must be why obviously.
Yeah.
Well done. You guys look fantastic in your yellow outfits, by the way. So we see Matt Doyle on the screen there, climbing the hill out of the blackberry maze. It's they're fairly slow going, these blackberries, so the map will remain fresh for a couple of years. Heading towards the top of the hill. It's the course testing the physical side as well. These short, steep climbs, followed by a little control over the top, and then some technical stuff to follow. So right now, Matt's pushing himself and hopefully getting to that red zone, and then we see how well he responds after that. But he's looking in good shape.
It's interesting because he's got Peter Hodgkinson 2 minutes in front. He's got Brodie Nankervis 2 minutes behind, and then there's a trail of William Gardner, Matt Ogden, Aston Key, Gene Beveridge, Cameron Delisle, and Matt Crane. So it's going to very soon. It's going to heat up in the men's senior elite.
Can Paul Prudo make his way over to the presentation area near the trophies here? We just got a little errand for you. Paul Prudo, please.
So it looks to me at the radio control that Peter Hodgkinson was 31 seconds up on the time of Matt Doyle. So we've just got the replay coming up on the screen. Brodie Nankervis, Matt Doyle and William Gardner, and this is live. The tail is 1 minute. Brodie started 2 minutes behind Matt.
Looks
and
like
William started 2 minutes behind Brodie.
Brodie's ran to the wrong second control. I think he's ran to 4.
He did indeed.
Ooh,
and Matt,
our winner from yesterday.
Yeah, and Matt, and it looks to me like Peter Hodgkinson and Matt Doyle have got away from Brodie Nankervis and William Gardner.
So now there's a team of Nankervis and Will Gardner, who is seething after yesterday because he had some of the fastest splits, made an early mistake. So this should be a good battle of those two running together.
So we've got the 21 elites, we've got the 20 elites, and we've got the women's senior elite all coming together. And in the next 20 minutes, we'll know the winners of those 3 classes. So it's all going to
happen. It's
going to warm up, heat up, and then boil
very quickly.
And I can tell you that Asher Steer at the Radio 3 in the women's senior elite is currently leading in a time of 23:55.
Craig Duffy just finishing, ex-elite from WA, brought his family over. Great stalwart of WA orienteering.
So we'll have to rely on Living It Live to give us some tracking on the junior elites because we're not getting any radio controls at the moment. But repeat that we think that Alistair George was over a minute in the lead at control 7 in the men's junior elite class.
Just saw her looking up onto the mountain. I think I saw my wife, Tash, just go over the hill looking like it was the wrong direction.
Patrick Miller in the men's junior elite going through the control, and he has got
Alistair George.
Alistair George with him, and we'll go and have a look at the start times because I don't have them in my head. He was 2 minutes behind Patrick, so he's caught Patrick by just under 2 minutes.
So Alistair catching Patrick Miller.
Yeah,
the formidable team. That could decide the race, Nick.
And Alistair was the third last starter. Noah Poland 2 minutes behind, and Dante Afnan, the last starter, 2 minutes down on Noah.
Oh, I just heard a curly one. It's possible that the leader of the 20Es hasn't worn a tracker. So we could have a surprise packet here.
The screen is telling us that there is a fastest time, but we've got no idea who it is. I can tell you who it's not, but I can't tell you who it is. But we've got replay up on the screen with Dante Afnan live. No, it's all live, I think.
That's as they are in the forest now, I think.
It's all got to be live. Alistair George running with Patrick Miller. Now, I can tell you that Alistair George started 4 minutes in front of Dante Afnan. So I'm just going to speculate that Dante is not on a good run because he looks like he's a lot more than 4 minutes behind Alistair George at this point of the course.
The Patrick Miller, Alistair George option, this route being a longer one where the girls earlier went to the left of that hatched area. These two boys are going to the right through the rough stuff. So not opting to cut down but to go wide there. It's very rough in that area.
We are now live, but we've got Alistair George in second place, and we think the computer is telling us that there is someone in the lead, but we don't know who it is in the men's junior elite, and they're not tracking. So we'll just have to keep our eye out, Warren, I think.
So Alistair George and Pat Miller cutting down through the escarpment to the creek crossing and up to number 14. which is followed then by the mountain bike maze. That should be fantastic to track that through there.
So for us, it's a process of elimination. If anyone out there in the audience knows who it is, they might come and tell us who it might be. But it's someone who's not wearing a tracker, and they're not coming. Their name hasn't appeared on our screen, but maybe the computer's having a glitch. So we do know that Alistair George is on a very good run.
And the beauty of orienteering, it's a true family sport, and we're seeing that on the screen right now, Nick.
Absolutely. That's how we got into it, that's how you got into it, and that's how so many of our junior up-and-coming elites got into the sport through their family.
There's some action behind the scenes. It's just bubbling, I think, now, Nick. I think we're starting to get some feed through here.
We're waiting for some tracking maybe from Living It Live to see how the challenge between Alistair George and the rest of the men's junior elite class is.
I think we're
and
seeing
then also the senior elite as well.
I think we're seeing a New Zealand senior elite go up that hill there, working hard. There's Natasha Key over on the hillside, heading down towards the Blackberry Maze. There's a diagonal one there. That's some hard work in front of her. Looking, she's out of that control to the crossing. Somebody in front of her. Is Bridget Anderson just in front of her? I'm not sure which one started before the other. But that's obviously helpful for Tash and Precious Bridget, but they'll work as a team. That's very common in this level orienteering when people get caught up. There's the strength in numbers. It's almost like a peloton.
Well, it's interesting because I've been told that in terms of the NOL, if Bridget actually beats Tash today, she might become the NOL Senior Women's Champion for the year. But it will come down to a race between those two. So even though they're both running for Australia, so they're running together as a team, but they're also running against each other.
Well,
and Bridget started 4 minutes behind Tash.
So she's caught 4 minutes, so that race is almost over unless Tash finds something miraculous in the last part of the course. There's still a lot of work there to be done. They're almost together, but Tash has to get away.
So we do know that Bridget is a middle distance experienced orienteer. She's very good in this sort of terrain, and I said that to her this morning, that after having been out there, this looks like your sort of terrain, Bridget. And we've got Lara Malloy at the Radio 3 in a time of 23:30 to take the lead at that point. But we've got the men's junior elite on the screen, and this is synced. And I'm just trying to...
I can't see the Alistair George, Patrick Miller on that one. And that's not Natasha Key on that one. That's Natasha's son, Jensen.
So we've lost Alistair George and Patrick Miller from the GPS tracking.
Here comes Ella Cuthbert from the last control.
But I can tell you that Alistair George's running time, I'll just do a quick check. Alistair George started 11:40. So he's only on 23 minutes. So he's got a bit of the course to go. So it'll be a little while before we have the men's junior elite decided.
There's our JWOC runner, Ella Cuthbert, finishing. Not her best day, but she's had plenty. Great promise, that young woman, and winner of the Oceania sprint back in Wagga. I think she even beat the senior women on the same course. Ella's got plenty of potential in front of her and lots to look forward to.
So we now have them back on the screen, I think. We've got Patrick Miller and Alistair George's GPS is frozen, but there's no reason why he shouldn't be with Patrick Miller. He was previously. So this is live. So Aston Key is not too far away from the finish.
That's Jensen Key, the better looking one.
Sorry, my apologies. Jensen Key. And Oliver Egan coming down to control 17.
So I think we're still seeing Patrick Miller and Alistair George together. So that's significant.
And Bridget Anderson's gone through Radio 2 in a leading time of 12:46. So Bridget is on a very good run today. So she's got 2 motivations out there.
Let's hope for that. It'd be good for a South Australian to win. They have such a high quality group of young people coming through, and Bridget and Simon leading them and leading by example.
Yeah, it's a very big week for Bridget, and I'm not surprised that she decided to pull out yesterday at the spectator map change. She's had a very big week with the schools team, and maybe her thought processes were to save herself a little bit for today.
And here we're seeing the women's tracking from the women's senior elite. So the first controller short technical one, then that track option taken by Belinda Lawford into Little Gully, a small bit of diggings there. Now there's a green wall. Bridget Anderson's pulled away significantly through the rough stuff. Very clean navigating. Well done. And Belinda and Tash have just got caught up, and you can see that that's the tail's a minute.
Well, there's kind of no point because it'll change.
So Jensen Key, we've got the fastest time in the men's junior elite is Scott Smith from New Zealand of a time of 35:35. So that's a standard that we're going to have to look at for Alistair George and the other Australians. And Alistair's time is still 26, just on 26 minutes. So Jensen Key will be in soon, and then we should have some of the other New Zealanders.
So an update on the test match between Australia and New Zealand. The junior women class has been resolved today. So Australia won that 29 points to New Zealand 26. Now we need to get about 15 points more than New Zealand across the 4 classes today. So we're going to need to win. Australia is going to need to win those other 3 elite age classes by more than the junior women. So even though we got the first, second and third today in junior women, the New Zealanders filled in all those minor places after that. So it's very much a live test match today in the elites.
So while that's been happening, we've got Tristan Miller in the finish, but Oliver Egan also, and Oliver has taken second place of a time of 36:58. So we've got 2 New Zealanders in the lead in the men's junior elite class. So Tristan Miller started about 6 minutes in front of Angus Haynes. So Alistair George, who we think was in the lead at the previous radio control, and we can see Matt Crane on the big screen. But Alistair George's running time at the moment is 28 minutes.
There's Maddie Crane, just finished the escarpment, now into the Blackberry Maze. Third yesterday, and yet another good result from Matt Crane. We look over to the far hillside, we could just about see him. Looks like he's going straight down the forest, or the farmland starting to track up a bit there. Advantage of the late starters.
And it shouldn't be long before Will Tidswell is in the finish in the men's junior elite. Another New Zealander.
Crystal Newman on screen. Looks like she's nailed that one on the hillside. Now down towards the Blackberry Maze.
Crystal was the third last starter in that class, but we know that Lizzie Ingham, and there she is on the screen, she was the last starter in the women's elite class, the winner of the long distance event yesterday. And she will be in the mix, I'm sure, today.
Looks like she's closed the gap for sure and almost got Crystal in sight. So sometimes that can be bad news because you're still navigating, but sometimes it can be really good news because you just head for them. I think she needs to put her head up at this point to look where the flag is. She might see Crystal.
So the men's junior elite should come to a head in about the next 6 minutes. We've got the fastest time in the finish is Scott Smith, and he's had a time of 36 minutes or just over. And I'll just confirm that for myself. But we're looking for Alistair George and maybe Dante Afnan and maybe Patrick Miller, who could get anywhere near that time.
There was the look back from Crystal. She knows she's been caught by Lizzie. Lizzie got through that very tricky section super well, and that's paying off. And now she's showing her fitness. And Lizzie's homing in on the yellow target up front. So and through its technical part now, it's a fairly physical section. So good time to catch somebody for sure. Live, I think we're live now with Patrick Miller and Alistair George. His GPS is stuck back at 15. We just have to assume he's with Pat Miller, and that means he's closed the gap on Angus Haynes. So I think he's still continuing on with a great run. It's going to be tight, Nick, that's for sure.
Patrick Miller's running time is 32.5 minutes. And he's got to get through control 17, 18, 19 in about 4 minutes.
Yes, the blue line under Patrick Miller's line there is Alistair George. Yep, we've got confirmation of that. So that means they're still as a team, and most of the hard work has been done, but a couple tricky ones near the end. We're still unsure about the actual winning time because there's this mystery one, Nick.
Well, we've got Scott Smith is the fastest time, but I can't remember what exact time Scott did. I think it was 36 something. We've got Angus Haynes and Will Tidswell approaching the last control. So we now know it's 34.59. So the winning time at the moment is 34.59. Will Tidswell is too late to get in the top two. So he's fast enough to get in the top three at the moment. And I think that's him on the screen coming into the finish.
It's a great run.
It's going to be New Zealand 1, 2 and 3 at this point of the men's junior elite class. Will run himself into third place behind Scott and Oliver.
Look at this effort. That's a great performance. Will's a very young competitor and experienced at jaywalk, but only at the beginning of his career. I think he'd be happy with that one, Nick. And good camaraderie on the ski. Yeah. Well done, guys.
And my calculation is we've got 3 minutes before we see Alistair George. Otherwise, it's going to be a victory to New Zealand. At the moment, it looks like Angus Haynes is just run himself into second place.
He was part of that team there.
Yep. He split the New Zealanders in a time of 35.40.
Yeah, we got to finally get it. Thanks, Jimbo.
And he's run himself into second place. So Angus Haynes, second at the moment. And so we're waiting for Patrick Miller and Alistair George at the last control.
So we're looking into the forest. Yellow jacket, is that him? Is that his time? 35.35. That's Patrick Miller. Is that Alistair George in the distance?
He's
yes. A steep climb up from the second last.
And Alistair George has got, I'm not giving anything away too much here, I think he's got enough time between now and the finish to take
there they are at the last control.
Lead.
We look up to the last control, the two of them together, Pat Miller, Alistair George.
And Alistair has more than enough time. And this will be the new fastest time in the arena. It's Patrick Miller leading Alistair George, but Alistair will have a time of about 2 minutes faster than the current fastest time.
So Pat might be running for second as well, but we've certainly got the fastest time here. Alistair George, Pat Miller just crossing the line. Now Alistair George, that's a great run. A great navigator, and I think we're seeing that today. Both those chaps doing fantastic, but well done, guys.
Just over 2 minute lead there to Alistair George. And in the start list, Noah Poland and Dante Afnan are the only two out there who can get anywhere near those times.
I think we're seeing on the screen there the future of Australian and New Zealand orienteering all together. Looks like Alistair's had a hard day out there, Nick.
Yeah, but Patrick's run himself into second place. He's only 156 down on Alistair. So those two, from memory, they were together for at least the last 6, maybe 7 or 8 controls. And I think that's benefited both of them in terms of running speed through the terrain.
Absolutely. It always works that way. So we're seeing the women's, a replay of the women's. This is live, so it's not according to the leader. It looks like Bridget and Natasha are still together. Remembering that Tash has been caught 4 minutes, so she has to make some move somewhere. And it's very tight because if they're separated by one place in the results board, then it could be a tie for the Knoll race. So it's all on the line right now. And there it is, the route choice decision. This is the moment, maybe, Nick.
So we're watching the women's senior elite on the screen going around the out of bounds area on the side of the steep gully. And we can see that Bridget Anderson is going south, similar to what Katie Corey Wright did. And Tash is going to the left through the boulder fields that are on the side of the hill.
Once they get near the control, it's very good visibility. So if they're close, I think that the Tash has been caught up by that rocky ground climbing. Always difficult to climb up through rocky ground, that's for sure. I'm surprised that the gap hasn't favoured Natasha's side on this one. So it should be interesting to see if they come back together.
And you can tell the running speed by the tail. If the tail starts to shrink, that means the running speed's slowed down. Obviously, if the tail catches up with you, that means you're standing still in the terrain. So you can work out that at the moment, Bridget is gone to the south, but her running speed is pretty slow because her tail is very short.
And right now, and this is where Natasha should put the pedal to the metal. Yeah, absolutely. This is where she's got. This could be the Knoll being decided on this moment right now, Nick. If Natasha can get through this section,
But we do know that there was 4 minutes between them. I think I'll just check.
I was told that if they're placed one apart, that it could be a tie. So Natasha's got to make time on Bridget at this moment, and Bridget's. Looks like her GPS is stalled for a second, so I think they'll come to this control together in the end. I think once Bridget's GPS starts living up again, it's very open in that section up to number 14, and then the fairly easy one to the next control. Then we hit the mountain bike maze, and that is an absolute doozy in there.
I'm just checking the start list, and we've got Tash Key 4 minutes in front at the start over Bridget Anderson. So as Warren said, control after the out of bounds area is going to be crucial when we get back to that. But we've now got the men's senior elite, and it's synced, and we've got Simon Uphill on. Actually, Aston Key. I better call this for you, Warren. Aston Key is currently in the lead over Peter Hodkinson from Great Britain. And they look like they're coming together at control 12. And Peter's got in front. A small mistake there by Aston. A little bit too high on the slope, I think. So this is quite exciting racing out here. We know that Simon Uphill is there in the mix. We've got William.
We were just about to see a big division of that route choice. So it's funny, in the middle distance there, we could actually have the whole thing could be decided by route choice today.
Yeah, we can't blame the NBN for that one, can we? But that's just gone off the screen when it was getting exciting. But we'll just wait for that.
We may actually be seeing Peter Hodkinson come to this spot on the camera. I'm not sure.
And there he is. Peter Hodgkinson coming to, and he's got Simon Uphill on his tail.
What a combination. Oof.
And I'll just go to my
Look at the determination.
smartphone.
He is absolutely going for it. Here he comes into the finish, Nick. There he is from the last control.
He's
running for the lead.
Yeah, and he's got a 2 minute, Simon started 2 minutes in front of Peter, so this is a very, very fast time by Peter Hodgkinson. 8
Here he comes
minutes
now.
and 20 seconds under the fastest time. So this will be a new fast time for the Great Britain runner. And that will be a time around 37:51.
The Commonwealth Games are alive, Nick. A British winner. Maybe.
And we're waiting now for Brodie Nankervis because he was 4 minutes behind Peter at the start. And then William Gardner. So it's going to heat up. And we also have, not too far away, I wouldn't have thought, Bridget Anderson and Tash Key.
Absolutely. This is action-packed stuff. We might get Peter over here for a quick interview once he's caught his breath. But I think that could well be the run of the day.
Yeah, and we're waiting for Brodie, but we've now got some tracking. Tash Key's got away from Bridget. But is it 4 minutes? It's not 4 minutes at the moment. So can Bridget hang on in the last 4 of these controls? The tail is 1 minute, so Bridget is now about a minute down on Tash. But we know she had 4 minutes up at the start.
Was that gap?
And
Here,
now
here
we
we go,
got
the
the
men's. This is the deciding one too. We see Hodkinson to the northern side of that leg. Aston stayed high through the blackberries. It's a difficult climb for Aston Key to come up through the mountain bike maze. It's a difficult climb where Peter Hodkinson to the north has got a nice gentle run in. I think we'll see that Peter Hodkinson wins that route choice.
And it doesn't look like anyone else is close to either Aston or Peter, so we might be able to... Is this synced? Yes, it is. If it's synced, it's Brodie Nankervis is way out of the mix.
He made that early mistake, if you recall, Nick, and I think he spent his money yesterday in that big win.
Right, okay. So we're gonna call, I think, that Peter Hodkinson is going to be the winner of the men's senior elite here today. Having a blinder of a run, unless Aston Key can make up the time on this leg and the rest of the... He's the only one who can get close to them. Matt Doyle is maybe running possibly into third at this point of the course.
There is still a very tricky control that Peter Hodkinson's gone through. So 15 is easy, but 16 is maybe the most challenging control on the course. It's a confusing maze of contours, black, and in there is a zigzagging of tracks, and I don't think Aston Key's been through. I'm not sure about his choice going up there. I think that's an indication of tired legs, Nick. Peter Hodkinson just powering away.
Well, he's running along the fence. I don't quite know why Aston would be doing that. He's either going up to the crossing, or does he realise which fence he's on?
I think he'd know which fence he's on this one, but it does seem that fence isn't all that tall to get through. So I'm just as surprised as you, but maybe he's playing it safe. But that seems excessively safe, and he's a man that tends to go straight at it. So I am surprised.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting question for your interview after the race.
Maybe he wasn't listening to the briefing and realised you can cross the fences.
Okay, so we've got Peter Hodgkinson at control 15. This is synced because Peter's in the finish with the fastest time, and it looks like the only ones who can get under that time are going to be Aston Key and Matt Doyle, but they're at least a minute. Aston is at least a minute down on Peter at this point. So it's really the race. We might need to move over to the women's elite and see how Bridget is going against
Hold
Tash.
on, Nick. We've got Pete Hodkinson here, and it'll be good for Pete to talk us through this control. 15 and 16 is on the screen right now, Peter. Tricky control. What were you thinking?
Yeah, I thought this is going to be one of the hardest controls on the course, and I was taking a real safe route. So you can see I'm going around the path there. I saw there's like 2 zigzag paths. I'm going to hop from one corner onto the next corner, so then I'll get real close to the control without any doubt. But yeah, I thought that's going to be the hardest control on the course, so I was very careful.
We just cut off that. That's a pity, but Aston's just entering that area now. You found it cleanly, and the other controls, was it a good run?
Yeah, overall really good. I wasn't clear on everything. I missed a little bit of time on number 3 early on, but then kind of kicked myself into gear and tried to be more focused on my process. It looks like we've got Doyle coming up here. He's looking good in his nice vest.
Yep. Matt Doyle approaching the last control. He's currently running time is 2:40 down on the time of Peter, so he's a little bit down on the time of Simon Uphill as well. Matt Doyle will run himself into third place in the arena.
It's a good run from Matt.
So the end result of Matt's time is that he can't win the Knoll event. So Simon Uphill will be the winner of the NOL senior competition.
Great run, Matt. Certainly top 3 there, and wide amongst it. So back to you, Peter. So you're in the hot seat. It's obviously feeling warm. Is it going to cool down? Have you got this under control?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about it. Looking at this tracking, without the tracking, I wouldn't be so sure because I know these guys can be super clean. Looks like Aston's going straight for this one. It's pretty bold, but it looks like he's. Oh no, maybe he got it there. Yeah, okay, fair play. He must have absolutely nailed that. That was a very bold route. But yeah, no, I feel pretty good. I was like not completely clear on this 18th just coming in. No, sorry, I mean the 19th. But I think I was clean enough, so it was fine. Getting a little bit tired on the hills after the long distance yesterday, but yeah, it was good.
So that 19-20 just aimed off a little bit left. There's this. So we're live with Aston Key in the forest right now. Oh, that's Belinda Lawford actually on our screen. Coming up towards the end, I think Belinda's right in the race. We've got to cross to the women now for a moment.
Yep, and Belinda started 2 minutes in front of Tash, so it shouldn't be too long before Tash Key is at the last control as well. And will Bridget Anderson be on her tail or not? That is the question, because those two were in the lead at a previous radio control.
So Belinda running down to the gap in the fence, just about to come around. So what place? Belinda's running into the lead right now, so this is the fastest time in the arena. Belinda Lawford, walk runner, and outstanding performance. And I would believe and suspect that there's no reason to think she hasn't had a perfect run, because Belinda's an excellent navigator. She's proven time and time again.
So we're waiting for Tash Key to come to the last control, because she started 2 minutes down on Belinda Lawford. And we know that Bridget Anderson was not too far away from her at a previous radio control.
Here they are on the screen, Nick, and looks like Tash has got away. This is that tricky 16. Bridget's going down to the track. Tash has got it clean. The gap's starting to open up. That's a minute. The tail's a minute. There's a minute and a little bit there.
But it is 4 minutes between them at the start.
So we've got two races on here, because there's the Knoll and the individual race today. So I think Bridget's looking very good for the individual race.
And Bridget needs to beat Tash today to have any chance in the Knoll. So it's a big run at the last, second last and third last.
We'll have to wait for a second.
So there's Brodie Nankervis running down. No,
it's Will Gardner coming
Will
into.
Gardner, my
We've
apologies.
missed him in the tracking.
Yep.
And he's 2 minutes behind Peter at this point, but that probably means a second place, I'm thinking.
Yeah,
Tight.
just.
Yep.
Second place to Will Gardner. So
surely not a 1-2 for the for the GB Commonwealth Games team. What do you think, Peter?
Not surprised at all, actually. You know, Will's a very strong runner, and he came here with his game face on. Just came down here for the 10 days to try and take out the Oceania titles. So, yeah, I'm not surprised he's had a good run there.
And what about the Australia-New Zealand challenge against you? You feeling safe that the GBs will pull this one off today?
Without a doubt, I don't think there is a challenge.
Them fighting words, Peter. It could be a long walk home, mate.
And we've got, we should have Tash Key. I've just lost my track of timing here.
So that's Aston Key on the screen. Here comes Brodie Nankervis on the screen. He's yesterday's winner.
So Belinda's time, which she's the fastest in the finish at the moment, it looks like she's going to beat Tash Key today, so it's a matter of whether Bridget Anderson can get under that time.
We're seeing Brodie punch the control, but we should see Natasha and or Bridget. Here's Tash just about to hit the top of the hill there at the last control.
But she is too late. She's too late to get under the time of Belinda Lawford. So the next one will be Bridget Anderson, who was just behind Tash.
So we're seeing Brodie on the screen, and right behind that will be another yellow and green of Tash. There she is there.
So Tash Key will finish about 55 seconds down, or maybe a minute down on the time, and she will run into third place behind Lara Malloy in the Women's Senior Elite. So we're looking for Bridget Anderson at the,
there's Tash
at the
just
last
finishing
control.
now.
Did Bridget get tired towards the end? I know she was pretty tired before she went out this morning, and it's a lot of climb towards the end of the women's elite class today. So Lara Malloy is holding on to second place. So currently Belinda Lawford in the lead. And if this is live, we've got Bridget Anderson has lost substantial time at the end of the course. And
Will it be enough, Nick? Do you think she's had enough of a lead? On the screen now is Aston Key coming through. 30 seconds from...
this looks like it's going to be a second place for Aston Key today.
Yes, he's past the time. You're
This
right
is-
there, Nick.
This is Aston Key at the last control.
Just cresting the hill
he's
now.
43 seconds down on the fastest time, so he's going to run into second place. The junior running the senior elite class today. Aston Key coming into the finish in a time of around... he's about a minute and 10 seconds after the time of Peter Hodgkinson. So second place in the finish to Aston Key.
And nice looking shoes, if I can get a plug in there.
And here's Bridget now. Will this be close enough to get into the lead? This is going to be
This is tight.
very, very close. And Bridget's taking the straight line choice to the knoll. So don't say it. So Bridget's got a very
This is
short
tight, isn't
run.
it?
This is close. And here she is.
This is for the win.
This is for the win. This is for the win, and I'm going to call it a victory to Bridget Anderson today.
Sure?
She is over a minute in front of Belinda Lawford. So Bridget Anderson has had a blinder.
We've still got Lizzie Ingham to come. Still Lizzie. So the fastest finisher in the arena, Bridget Anderson from South Australia, and I think we can say the Knoll winner. We'll have to sit there anxiously while we wait for Lizzie Ingham to come in. This is going to be a great race.
I just got carried away there, but we're waiting now for some information on Lizzie's time. Lizzie started last today, and so we'll just try and dig some times up on Lizzie at radio controls, because she's the one who can get under the time of Bridget.
I might have just shot myself in the foot again there, Nick. I've done it once already with Caitlin Young. If there is a gap between Bridget and Natasha on the day, then the Knoll is up for the taking. If there's, otherwise this could be tight. So we're waiting on the outcome of the next couple places. This is a thriller.
Has got 7 minutes to get in to beat the time of Bridget Anderson. So we hope to get up some live tracking and maybe some sync tracking on the women to find out the position of Lizzie in relation to Bridget.
7 minutes for Bridget to wait to win the Knoll or not, and to win the individual race today or not. Either way, it's a great performance from Bridget. She stood up in some very, very technical terrain. Well done, well done.
Yeah, congratulations to Bridget on a good run. She's had a really long week with the South Australian schools team, and she pulled out of yesterday's long, and she's now pulled out a really good run today. So we're waiting for Lizzie Ingham, but we do not have any information about her position in the relative rest of the field. But we can tell you that she has got 6 minutes to come into the arena to take the lead away from Bridget Anderson.
Okay, here's the tracking from the women. There's Lizzie Ingham.
Ooh, this is
She's nailed the last hard one, I think, Nick.
This is an amazing performance by Lizzie Ingham that we're seeing on the screen, because Lizzie is going to take the win, it looks to me, away from Bridget, because she is clear leader at control 17. And look at the speed through the terrain.
Here she comes now.
Here she comes to the last control. She's going to win by 4 minutes, maybe 5.
Yesterday's winner by 9 minutes, and a win today of a middle distance of a minute a kilometre. Amazing.
So this will be a win to New Zealand and a double to Lizzie Ingham this weekend.
Here she is at the last control, just coming over the hill in the New Zealand colours, the all black with the stars and stripes on it. Well, not the American ones.
A lead of 5 minutes and 20 seconds at this point, so Lizzie can take her time to get into the finish. And this is a double for Lizzie Ingham. The long distance yesterday, the middle distance today. Lizzie Ingham, the New Zealander who lived in Canberra. She's had a stop to have a hug with her mother, and now she will punch the finish control. So it'll be a victory to Lizzie Ingham, second to Bridget Anderson.
So unofficially, as I said, I've shot myself in the foot. Obviously, we've got Lizzie as the winner today, and I think that result means we've got Bridget Anderson as the Knoll winner, the year-long race of a series of 3 or 4 significant races, an accumulating win from Bridget Anderson. Well done, Bridget.
Thanks, Warren. I'm a bit tired. I've been pretty sick all week, so it was really hard.
What was harder, winning the Knoll or organising the South Australian schools team?
They were pretty good today. They were pretty feral on the night of the night after the disco, and I got a bit angry with them, but they're all good. I think this was a bit harder, I think.
Well done, yeah. I think, comparatively different. A good run today, Bridget?
It was a good start. I seem to do that in middle. I just go hard at the start and then I lose it. I just have no legs left and I just try and get around without making too many mistakes, but I made lots of mistakes over there, but I think Tash did as well.
So you were together with Tash. You nailed her 4 minutes very early in the course, which is what you're saying. You had a great start, and it was a technical start, some rough terrain. You got through there. You must have been happy when you first saw her.
I didn't even know it was her until she was at number 9. I saw her, and then that was good, I guess. I don't know. It's the best running with people. I'm usually better running by myself, but that's all good. Yeah.
And then you had a separation on that route choice, the hillside. You went right, she went left. It seemed like that's when you opened the door.
I shouldn't have gone right because I had no idea where the outer bounds ended. Absolutely no idea. So I was way too high. I just ran straight past it, and I was in the wrong gully. Yeah, it was a bad way.
After you come through that rugged bit of terrain at the end of that, could you still see Tash at all?
No, I couldn't see her. I couldn't see anyone actually. I was just trying to get through. I knew she was ahead of me. I just kept trying to go straight and get to the control. Yeah, you smashed me.
Well done on winning the Knoll. It's a year-long race, accumulation. You've had some good runs through the year. What's the one, or is there one you could say, I really had a good day?
Funny enough, I think it was the sprints I had the best runs on, and I wasn't really running for sprints, but I'm trying to keep in good shape this year because I've got a wedding in 2 months, so I'm trying to look good for my wedding dress. It's good for orienteering.
So you found somebody to marry? Anybody we know?
Nah, I don't think you know him.
That might well be another South Australian legendary orienteer from a famous family. No giveaways there, but they're certainly not going down. They're coming up. So are you going to change your family name?
I might. There's not too many uphills in the world, and there's plenty of Andersons. But, we might join our names together. Might call ourselves Anderups or Upsons or something.
Difficult one, yeah. Gets tricky when you have kids, I can tell you that. So well done, Bridget. Great run. Congratulations on the Knoll. Australia's Knoll champion this year, Bridget Anderson.
Thanks, Warren. I've got to get on a bus and go back to Adelaide. So thanks. And thanks for a great carnival.
Well done. So we also now have the winner of today's race, and I think the dominator over the last 2 days, Lizzie Ingham, returning to the Southern Hemisphere, maybe in career best form.
Oh, I don't know about that, but no, it's nice to be back running hard and back in nice rocks and Aussie terrain.
You had a clean run today, it looked like, from the tracking. Did you find any challenges out there that made you hesitate or think about it?
Oh, it was definitely challenging, for sure. It was a pretty clean race. My splits tell me I've lost 20 seconds on number 14, so we have to look at that closer. Yeah.
One of the characteristics of the terrain was the great variety, from the thick forest to begin with, to the heathland, to the blackberry maze, to the beautiful open escarpment, then the mountain bike maze, and then back through the open stuff. Did you change tempo? Did you just charge at it? Was there a strategy, a tactic?
No, definitely had to change tactics with each terrain. I think the toughest for me was, I've got the map, number 16 in the mountain bike tracks, because it's just a maze of black in there. And I remember your question about if you could nail one control, what would it be? And it would be, I answered for the middle distance, it's the last technical control, and that was it. So I took it super careful on that one.
Lizzie's referring to the Vox Pops we may have seen yesterday. You can catch them on the OA website. We should all be there, or the Facebook site. Last technical control when you get tired. And so what are you thinking about the mapping around there? Tracks and cliffs together. Is there anybody from the IOF here that we can talk to at the same time?
I know my tactic for that was, actually I did use the tracks, counted how many tracks I had to cross, and was looking out for the contours underneath it all. It's always the contours that you have to go back to.
Absolutely, and we saw some people take that on straight on. I know my own son Aston went straight on, saw that as brave, and saw others cut out to one of the tracks that led in. But you had a plan or some sort of thought process of what you should be doing.
Yeah, absolutely, and in that stuff, going slower is going to save you time. Yeah.
I think we got that message from Thierry yesterday, wasn't it? In the opening, take your time, work your way through it. If you gave for yourself some advice at the start line now, after you've run the race, what would it be?
Actually, I can't remember who it was, one of the 20 elites said read your map. So I think I'd double with that. Yep.
Seems to be a common theme, doesn't it? Read your map, read your map, read your map. Lizzie Ingham, winner today, winner yesterday. Great weekend. Well done. You're the champ.
Oh, thank you. It's been an amazing week. Thanks also for the organisers and I think actually the property owners as well. We have to remember them.
Absolutely. We're very lucky to be here, and I can tell you we're on prison ground. So the lock-in starts at 2 o'clock if you haven't been sure.
I'll be out. It's all right.
We'll be out. Well done, Lizzie, the champ. It's John Sutcliffe. So I can point him out if I see him. Yeah, British voice.
Thanks, Warren. Good course.
You're welcome. It's good to see you. Thanks very much.
We have a special announcement. I've got Janet Bush with me at the moment. She's lost her wallet, a black wallet. If anyone knows anything about it, please come over to the commentary. A black wallet belonging to Janet Bush.
And a couple of other jobs. Thank you.
So on the screen there is the tracking of the women's course, and we're seeing that error from Natasha Key at control 6. That's cost her quite a bit of distance, and Bridget's fast start now is starting to show on the climb up where Lizzie's just pulled away. That tail's about a minute. She's clean through 13. Bridget goes up above it. That's a good selection through there. That's the fastest way. The forest tells you that. Looks like Natasha's just about to close in on Belinda, but Belinda goes low. The separation on the controls, 13 to 14. I think this is where Bridget lost a little bit of time, uncertain on where the end is there. We know that there's no tapes out there because there's no boundary around the hatching. Lizzie about to enter the last sort of technical control and the fourth or fifth version of the terrain types, straight at it using the contours. Bridget about to enter that same spot, 15 to 16, sorry. She goes down to a track. She's going to that one there, running with it and then using the contours to come in on one of the tracks, and a little hesitation. Belinda does the same, whereas Tash takes it straight on by look at it. So Tash will be on a direction where the other two are reading off a track to get in there. They all find that successfully, and moving on to the end. Lizzie, of course, cleaning up the last few controls.
And I'd like to take the opportunity to do a plug for Easter 2020. Easter 2020 will be based in Orange in New South Wales, and we'll be using 2 days. Will be held on the famous Gumble Pinnacles map that Eric Andrews made in the 1990s. or maybe not NOL, but it hasn't been used for a national event.
All right, now we're seeing the men's race tracked on the screen. And you can see Peter Hodkinson, the leader, made a little mistake there at number 3, which has probably given Aston the lead. Peter catches that up with a more direct route to number 4. And we're seeing a bit of consistent running there. Leg speeds look about the same, picking the gap in the fence. Peter makes an error by going to the other one, or gets caught between the two, which gives Aston that little lead. The diagonal downhill, a bit of a test there. They all look like they've found that one. There, little error from Simon, I think that is. Through the Blackberry Maze, and now the first of the genuine forest hillside controls. Peter, Aston obviously making a little error on that one, getting caught in the rocks. Peter now takes the lead, and I think that's the end of the race. He then powers away. This climb, this divil climb up towards near to the arena. It's a real toil on them, and sapping the energy for the next control, which is the route choice. We see a significant difference here, with Peter going to the north and Aston going to the south. Matt Crane goes to the south. Matt Doyle goes to the south, and Will Gardner and Simon uphill to the north. It looks like the option to the left is best in that case. Now we enter the mountain bike maze. Peter comes in on the track. Aston looks like he's being more direct. Simon comes in on the track. The other boys look like they've come more direct. I think both ways seem to work well. Then we've got this little turnaround and nasty climb for Peter Hodkinson before we get the tricky control across the top there. Little test, and then a turnaround down through the rocks. A very deep control just before the gully. The safety of the gully, but you have to be clean. Peter plays it safe, going left. Aston's playing a game out there on the right. Most of them go left, better choice. And then I think we can see Peter with his strong legs, using that to advantage out there, as the others did too. There's a bit of rough terrain there. They've cut left. Matt Doyle goes straight through. And then that may be deciding last climb out of 21 to 22, where fitness becomes part of the game, and a great run from Peter Hodkinson and those 6 boys. So we saw enough splitting, enough challenges there to make it interesting. Away from home. That doesn't happen very often, so well done to them. Hold on. Where this could be the 3rd time I've shot myself in the foot in the last 30 minutes. But I think if you just put your arms in there in New Zealand, you've got it anyway.
So, sorry, Jim's read his spreadsheet wrong. It's Australia that have won by 2 points from New Zealand over the year. Maybe we'll call it a tie. So this doing it as an annual test match is definitely adds some atmosphere to it. So anyway, good competition.
Yeah, thank you, Ian. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Australia. It has been a great competition. Queen's Birthday, the New Zealand match, very different pine forest terrain, and great to come here and run in this fantastic granite rock. And hats off to Australia. Well done, Jim.
Thank you, Alistair, and my apologies for adding up wrong. It's on the spreadsheet, I just can't read.
Just while there's a microphone available and before too many people leave, I'd just like to talk about the next Oceania Champs, which are a bit over a year away in New Zealand. So if you're already planning your next orienteering holiday after Tasmania next year, look out for the South Island of New Zealand, based in Christchurch in January 2021. We're going to have a fantastic variety of different terrains: limestone, rock, pine forest, possibly some sand dunes. So that is from the 9th to the 17th of January 2021. There'll be more information coming out through OA and ONZ. Website will be set up soon. Based from Christchurch, easy to get into. We're planning some pre-events potentially up on the top of the South Island, up Nelson Way, running through Oceania, and it's middle of summer holidays. Should be a little bit colder than this, but the South Island of New Zealand, a great place to visit in January, and we would love to see as many of you there as possible. Oceania 2021.
Great tourism and great terrain is what I've been told.
Thanks very much for that. That was the announcement that I made 2.5 years ago, so I'm hoping that you get the same turnout for Canterbury 2021. Folks, the presentations are going to start. We're hoping to get them all underway officially at 1 o'clock.
I'm just going to present the prize for the quiz from yesterday. About 200 people did the quiz on the way to the start, so I hope you all had fun. We had 2 prizes on offer. One, the box of chocolates in second place from the ACT went to Andrew Cummington. Do you want to come and get a box of chocolates, Andrew? Is Andrew around? He got 17 out of 20 right. Here's Andrew. Box of chocolates. Sorry, mate. You didn't win the compass. Okay. But the winner, and nobody got them all right, so with 18 out of 20, was from New South Wales, Terry Blewett. Terry, you win a straight compass. While I've got the mic, don't forget next weekend we have the first ever Melbourne City Race in Melbourne, for those that haven't entered yet, and also a couple of sprints in association with that as part of our Sprint into Spring series. Thank you, Terry. Congratulations.
Can I just say something? While I'm here, thanks very much. I'm really rapt to get this compass, but next Easter, I think Nick's mentioned it, but I'd like to reinforce it. Terrific rock, similar to today, terrific Eric Andrews maps, and one that I'm trying to do, but Rob is going to help me out with. So hope to see you all next Easter. Thanks very much.
So I think maybe get back to those guys. So folks, I think everyone will agree that the video production has been fantastic this week. The boys have got one last video montage installed for us. It will be going up on the big screen in the next few minutes, and so that's the video and some interviews from yesterday from the Oceania Long. But otherwise, if people could start to gravitate towards the presentation area, we'll get underway, hopefully as close as we can to 1 o'clock, and we'll work through those a very large number of prizes. So Daryl Erbacker, you're ready. Jim Russell, you're going to be ready. Yep, if you can start working towards the presentation area, that would be great.
So we've done all our presentations.
Okay.
Oh, wait, no, wait, got one to go. Do you want to do that one now? Yes. I'll get back to you. Well, I want to the Noel. Yeah, Noel's done. The senior women's teams has to be done, but the senior individuals has been done. But she's already gone.
There's one really quick school things too.
Yeah.
I think
they're going to put the video up there. It's on.
Good afternoon, everyone. Angus Haynes, this is Valerie speaking. If I could catch you, please, just briefly. I'm up here near the presentation area. Angus Haynes, please. Thank you.
Well, just, yeah, exactly. If they turn up, they turn up. Here comes the video file. Do you want to do that now? Just explain what it is again. Yeah, it's on.
Hello, I can announce the winner of the silver medal
For those of you who don't know about the silver medal, it's conducted across all elite classes, and it's first place gets 4 points, second place gets 3, third place gets 2, and you get 1 for finishing. And your best 6 events account, so the maximum points is 24. This year we had 9 events for you to work out your best 6. And at the end of the 9 events, 4 people had won 6 times, and they are Stephen Craig, Bruce Arthur, Robin Uphill and Jenny Bourne. So because they've got the maximum points, there's going to be a count back, and the count back is based on your average winning margins. So the further you are ahead of second place, the more points you're going to get. So we had a count back this year, and I haven't finished the calculations yet, so I can't tell you anything about third, fourth, fifth and sixth. But first and second is very clear, well ahead of the field, and that's Stephen Craig and Bruce Arthur. Bruce Arthur has the distinction of being the only one to win 9 times out of the 9 events. Well done for Bruce. But the winner, with some spectacular winning margins, is Stephen Craig. Okay. I understand Stephen Craig's taken his family and already gone. He must want to watch the football tonight. Before I go, I'm trying to get hold of Paul Prudeau. If he's around, that'd be great. Okay, thank you very much.
It was extremely tough. So we're both just discussing like how physically hard it is. So it's just and mentally tough. So yeah, I was happy to see the finish.
Yep, it's super challenging. Everything I hoped to get out of today. I really was looking forward to coming to this map, and it lived up to its expectations.
Oh, it's so cool. I'm a bit privileged we get used to it in Europe, but it's the first time we've had the full works down south, and I think it's awesome. It's not just good for the people in the arena or at home, but it's also advertising what we've got in New Zealand, Australia to the rest of the world.
Pretty tough. I was expecting that it was going to be a pretty tough day out there. I knew Warren would set a good course, and I wasn't disappointed. So, yeah, it really suited me. So a nice day out for me. I enjoyed it. I think it was looking beforehand with 31 controls. I knew it was going to be a tough long distance. I knew there was going to be lots of short controls, which could be pretty tough in a long distance when you're pretty buggered. And it was very challenging, big long legs and then little short ones in between. So definitely kept you on your toes.
stuff.